Now let's talk about the man who armed the Panthers. This is literally a video I've been meaning to watch since I started streaming. Just saying. Also, I've been streaming for, oh my god, almost 3 hours. So, like, give me money. Just kidding. If you're able to subscribe or give this up or share with bits, it would be much appreciated. You can also share with bits or donate. It also helps the stream and helps me survive in this capitalist horrible world. And also, you're basically destroying imperialism by giving me your money because I literally live in the global south and most of you all are in the imperial core. So it's basically reparations. Thank you. Bye. Yeah, I tried archaeology as escapism for a while, but that didn't work. Damn. I'm sorry. Yeah, I have heard like way too many stories about like leftists being in the scientific industry, in science academia or whatever, and um how like capitalism just destroys any like desire for actual research going on. And yeah, open veins of USA to Sebs. Oh my god. Is this about Aoki? I dropped an hour long interview with him in your Discord. It's great. Ignore the format nonsense. I don't know why every public video of him accuses him of it. Oh, it's great. Ignore the informant nonsense. I don't know why every public video of him accuses him of that. Got it. Interesting. Did you say an hour long? Why? I am just watching a 10-minute video. Oh my god, leave me alone. Ugh. Also, I think either tomorrow or on Wednesday, we'll do a pause on Black Panther content. And I want to read this Amy newsletter. Sorry. I'm already subscribed. This Amy newsletter because there are like a couple of videos and talking about housing. Be conscious about housing. Yes. Also, fuck the DNC and the GOP and the electoralism, but even more, fuck BlackRock. That's the only black that we don't stand. That was a bad sentence. I regret. I'm sorry. I'm sorry. I apologize. Uh, Sumerians for example, started a bunch of bad stuff, structural slavery, armies, and cities, and city walls, segregated city, bureaucracy, and royals. Yikes! Damn. Now I get why she needed to start alcoholism. Well, not alcoholism, but like why she needed a bar. uh, if I was a woman in that society, I would need to drink a lot. There's like 10-hour long interviews in there for you, cover but not cover. Yeah, I just saw everything you dropped, and I'm like, that's a lot. But it is important, you know. Okay, the man who armed the Panthers. The comment sound turned off, so I'm not really sure. Also, it's by the reveal, and them having less than 100K gives me hope, but also I'm not sure of any sources, so we're diving into this video very blindly. Okay.
We want an immediate end to police brutality and murder of black people.
Well, perhaps more than anything else, the Black Panthers stood for the right of black people to defend themselves against white violence.
Okay, so far so good. this is a good characterization, understanding leftist ideology. So, it's a good opening. I have hope for this video.
Even if it meant carrying weapons and using them in self-defense. But it also brought violent conflict with police. And by 1969, at least 28 Panthers had been killed in shootouts with police. 69,
Except what?
at least 28 Panthers had been killed in shootouts with police. Not many people.
This one file which shows this guy's an informant and I'm sus about the source. Interesting. I mean, let's not release anything but this one file about this guy. No, we swear we haven't tampered this one file that we have decided to release. What are you talking about?
People know that the Panthers got some of their first weapons from a man named Richard Aoki. And nobody knew that Aoki was an informant for the FBI.
Ignore the part of the informant. Like, I'm skeptical of like why, like I will try to like be in good faith, like, because I don't know anything about anything or anything about anyone right now. But there were like literally Japanese internment camps a decade prior. The Japanese and black struggle was like in its height in this decade. I'm just going to be a little skeptical of like why would I can only assume Japanese because of his last name. I'm a little skeptical why a Japanese would be like working for the FBI, but at the same time I can understand why a marginalized person, especially with revolutionary reasons, would work for the FBI out of survival. So it's not like even if it turns out that he was actually an FBI informant, I'm not going to be like, wow, he's a piece of shit, even though he kind of would be. But because at the end of the day, it's like he was literally going to get killed otherwise. So like still fuck the FBI. They can make any document they want, so I don't know. Yeah, that's the thing. So yeah, Japanese. He was in the military as a teen. Interesting. Also, yeah, which military? you know. Okay, in 1981, while he was a journalism student, Seth Rosenfeld began researching the FBI activities in Berkeley during the
A former
1960s.
FBI agent had heard that I was doing research, and he contacted me. His name was Bernie Threadgill.
Agent Threadgill noticed a name in one of the FBI documents Rosenfeld had obtained.
And he says, hey, I know that guy. And he said, Aoki was my informant. I developed him.
Like, the way in my mind he's saying he was my informant, and I translated to like he was my target. The way I'm like, this guy, this FBI guy literally just saw a name in the paper and said that. The way in my mind, I'm like, they literally, his boss literally told him to say that to the student, to that one white student. Yeah, he'll believe you. Are you sure? Yeah, it's okay. Just lie to him. Again, I don't know, but maybe coming from a Doug Valentine interview, but Kamala.
Oh, yeah, he was a character. He said, I don't have any interest in communism. And I said, well, why don't you just...
Oh, yeah, he was a character. He said, I don't have any interest in communism. I said, well, why don't you just go to some of the meetings and tell me who's there and what they talked about.
So one thing led to another.
So one thing led to another, and he became a
Well, I had
real
never
good
heard of Richard
informant.
Aoki.
Okay, I'm already sus because I mean I was already sus, obviously, but the way he says that Aoki said I'm not interested in communism, like that's what the FBI would say that they said. Do you know what I mean? Like that doesn't seem like something people who knew about the Black Panthers would say. I don't know.
Before Bernie Threadgill told me about him. So I had never heard of Richard Aoki before Bernie Threadgill told me about him. So I started to research who was Richard Aoki. Aoki was a prominent activist in the San Francisco Bay Area during the 60s.
Definitely Richard was...
Okay, he was an activist. So he was like in the struggle, and somehow the words "I'm not interested in communism" would just casually get off his mouth, roll out of his tongue, like. Nice to see you. Welcome back to Twitch. Hi, welcome, Wolf. Nice to have you here.
someone who looked at things politically. The impression I got was basically, if you become his friend, you know, he's like your friend for life, you know. And he was like that with most people, you know.
He had been very involved in the Third World Liberation Front strike at Berkeley in 1960.
He was literally in an anti-imperialist march. I'm not interested in communism.
He was one of the most militant leaders of that strike. Aoki had also...
He was one of the most militant leaders in that strike. I'm not interested in communism though. Sounded like Lee Harvey Oswald. Guess who's going to Brazil for my birthday month? Oh my god, nice. I'm going in July. Ooh, you're going to... Oh no, it's nice. You're going in the middle of winter, so it's fine.
been involved in a group called the Asian American Political Alliance, one of the first.
I was going to tell you, I was going to say that you were going to go in the hottest month, but no, like we have the opposite season, so it's fine.
Asian activist groups in the country. He'd also had a connection with the Black Panther,
Okay.
Aoki.
Let's go over all of this again and try to make sense of the line, I'm not interested in communism.
Berkeley in 1969. He was one of the most militant leaders of that strike. Aoki had also been involved in a group called the Asian American Political Alliance, one of the first Asian activist groups in the country. He'd also had a connection with the Black Panthers. Aoki was head of the Berkeley chapter of the Panthers and later became a field marshal in the Panthers. And it was known that he had given the Black Panthers guns.
Curious to find out to what extent the FBI knew Aoki was arming the Black Panthers, Rosenfeld decided to talk to Aoki about it.
I knew from my research that he was a very smart and complex person. He had a fascinating history. His family.
He was literally in the Japanese internment camps during World War II. I'm not interested in communism though.
He was interned during World War II. He'd grown up in West Oakland in a very rough neighborhood, predominantly black and impoverished neighborhood. He was part of a gang. He was involved in a lot of petty crimes. Co-valedictorian in his junior high school. When he was in the Army, he became a firearms expert. So I was really curious to know about this other side of his life. I'm wondering if you remember a guy named Bernie Threadgill?
Bernie Threadgill?
Yeah.
No, I don't think so.
What I was told in my research.
It's like this man is literally geriatric old and doesn't know the FBI agent. Like, he literally has nothing to lose to just say, oh yeah, I was working for the CIA. Do you know what I mean? Like,
That during this period of time you actually worked for the
even before he contradicts me.
FBI.
They tell you that?
Bernie told me that.
He did?
He did.
Oh, that's interesting.
Informants were used when I was in the FBI. An informant would report on the inner workings of
I'll let you all make your own conclusions. But he didn't know the guy
an organization. They can keep
to expose his criminal record. Honestly, probably.
you up to date on the thinking of the leadership.
So spooky he laughed at the accusation of being an op. I mean, yeah, like I don't know if he's laughing because like, oh my god, the FBI guy actually told you, or because he's laughing, or if he's laughing because he's like, wow, the FBI is still like trying to say those things about me. Do you know what I mean? So I'm like, I'm giving him the benefit of the doubt for my sake and be like, he's laughing because of it's like wild that these motherfuckers are still saying that shit. But I cannot like be for sure, you know.
Of the organization, whether it's going this way, that way. Someone like Aoki is perfect.
But also, it would be funny if like the next sentence, like he like the interview was cut right there, right? But it would be funny if like the next sentence was like, yeah, no, they would accuse me that I was working for the FBI all the time and I wasn't, or like something along those lines, you know, or like I get asked this question a lot of the time.
Perfect to be in a Black Panther Party, because I understand he's Japanese. Aoki, leadership of the organization, whether it's going this way, that way. Someone like Aoki is perfect to be in a Black Panther Party, because I understand he's Japanese. Hey, nobody's going to guess. He's in the Black Panther Party. Nobody's going to guess that he might be an informant.
Wait, what?
Perfect of the organ date on the inner working. When I was in the FBI, an informant would report on the inner workings of an organization. They can keep you up to date on the thinking of the.
Okay, it sounds like they're still on this BS to me, but deceptively edited. But I'm biased because I like the guy from what I've seen. And if he exposed himself, the research who is trying to prove this would have left it in. Interesting. I mean, yeah, no, yeah, right? So I'm like, and it's weird because I feel like this video is like somehow fine with everything that the Black Panthers were doing, but like are just trying to like expose Aoki, and I'm like, and it's also weird because I'm like, why would they go to these lengths to just try to expose one person? But also, this is the kind of length the US would go to just expose one person, to try to make him paint in a bad light, like this very niche, like obscure character in the Black Panther Party history, like of course the US would do this. Uh, I suspect the guy who somehow gets weapons first. All I can say here, interesting.
Leadership.
I mean, to be fair, like he was part of the military, so he would like somehow. I guess he would have access to the weapons, but I don't like. I hope they go over how he got the weapons. Not just he happened to have them.
He did.
Oh, that's interesting.
Informants were used when I was in the FBI. An informant would report on the inner workings of an organization. They can keep you up to date on the thinking of the leadership of the organization, whether it's going this way, that way. Someone like Aoki is perfect to be in a Black Panther Party.
Yeah, okay. This argument is like someone like Aoki is perfect to be in the Black Panther Party. I feel like doesn't hold much water. Also, hi Dorian, welcome. I feel like wouldn't a black person be more perfect? Like, wouldn't a black person would be less suspicious? Like, I don't know. To join the Black Panther Party? I don't know.
He's Japanese. Hey, nobody's going to guess. He's in the Black Panther Party. Nobody's going to guess that he might be an informant.
They had, yeah, and that's the worst. That's the worst part. Like, they also had black informants. So like, why would how could a Japanese informant be better than an actual black informant that like had more reasons to be in the Black Panther Party? Do you know what I mean? Like, you ain't paying much attention, but they gain unwilling assets through blackmail and such as well. Yeah, that's the thing. Like, even if it turns out that even if this 10-minute video, well, not to discredit because 10-minute video can say a lot, but like, this sounds ridiculous. Do you feel like I am reaching to not make him like an FBI agent? Which fair, What was I going to say? Oh yeah, even if he turns out to be an FBI agent, still wouldn't blame him. You know, it was that or die.
Through his involvement in the socialist groups, Aoki established his political credentials and became known to other activists in the Bay Area. Aoki was a student at Merritt College, and that's where he met Huey Newton and Bobby Seale, who would go on to found the Black Panther Party. The Panthers at that time were very concerned about police brutality in Oakland. They wanted to end police brutality. And they had an idea that one way to do that would be community patrols of the police. And in these community patrols, members of the Black Panther Party for Self-Defense, if they saw police interacting with citizens,
There would be a Black Panther present with a camera and also an unloaded shotgun. The goal of that was to be an eyewitness to prevent any possibility of police brutality.
but they needed guns in order to do these patrols. So they went to Richard Aoki. We went to a third world brother we knew, a Japanese radical cat. He had guns. We told him that we wanted those guns to begin to institutionalize and let black people know that we have to defend ourselves as Malcolm X said we must. And Aoki did. He provided not only weapons, but weapons training.
Okay, but like, can you tell us how he got those weapons though?
Threadgill had given me a detailed account of how he recruited Aoki as an informant, but I wanted to know more.
The 1967 FBI report Roosevelt obtained on the Black Panther Party revealed that while Aoki was
In reviewing the
arming the Panthers, he was still informing for the FBI. So was he an informant of the FBI prior to being involved with the Panthers? Like, this is what this is telling me.
records, there was a list of informants. Most of their names were blacked out, but for some reason, Richard Aoki's name had not been blacked out, and he was listed in the
Also, yeah, literally, what kind of informant literally trains them? I mean, like this. Every name was blacked out except this one. Why? Because he was Asian.
report as informant T2.
Black pen was empty suddenly.
Why was he
Like, not just gave them weapons to do something, but trained them. They aren't illegal weapons. That is fair. I mean, I still would like to know like how he actually got them. Like, did he just happen to have money, or did he like happen to have like contacts, or like did he happen to collect them over time? You know, I still would like. I don't even want to know like why he got them, but like literally how, out of sheer curiosity.
arming the Panthers?
Obviously, I would never like want this kind of information to replicate it currently. What are you talking about now? You know, some things never change. Because the FBI wants an armed radical group to keep people non-violent. This book took him 30 years to write, according to his wiki. Waste of time if you ask me, sweetie. What book? Wait.
T2. He was listed in the report as informant T2. Why was he arming the Panthers, and was the FBI involved in it? Under J. Edgar Hoover, the FBI had a secret operation called COINTELPRO, an acronym for Counterintelligence Program.
Hoover was very anxious to go after the Black Panther Party. The goal of the FBI was to, first of all,
Like, for a book he started in 1981 and finished in 2010s about the FBI war student. This guy, right? this guy, I literally completely forgot the start of the video. Sorry, but yeah.
Under J. Edgar Hoover, the FBI had a secret.
Hoover was very anxious to go after the
Honestly, his face almost disgusts me more than Trump's. What was Ted? This face is almost as disgusting as Ted Cruz's face. Actually disgusting human being. Oh my god.
Black Panther Party. The goal of the FBI was to, first of all, neutralize them.
Techniques ranged from sending false letters or planting negative news stories to trying to foment violence between the Panthers and other groups. The FBI also used informants as part of its COINTELPRO operation.
In 2009, Richard Aoki committed suicide at his Berkeley home. Rosenfeld wrote his obituary for the San Francisco Chronicle. Like, is this sus or is this just fucked up? Do you know what I mean? Because like, this means either okay, fine, he was an FBI informant, or it's so fucked up how like the lengths that the FBI are willing to go to just keep this like circus going to the point where an FBI agent is still pretending that he was that Aoki was an informant for him to the point that they are going to write his fucking obituary, you know? And it's like I'm like, and also, oh my god, it's like, okay, it says, okay, he committed suicide, right? And it's like, okay, he either did commit suicide because he felt guilty, you know, because work like literally being a fucking Judas, or or he committed suicide. I mentioned AIM earlier. Someone still sits in prison for that half a century. Oh, AIM, yes. The FBI sure doesn't know when to quit, it seems. I mean, that is fair. I mean, yeah, like literally, because like again, like the length. Castro, over 600 fucking attempts to kill him. Oh, American Indian Movement. Got it. That's right. I think today is the exact anniversary of Pearl Chair's imprisonment. Interesting. 638. Okay, to be fair, I said over 600. But yeah. Aoki died in 2009. Initially, it was reported he died from complications from dialysis. But later, it was revealed he died of a self-inflicted gunshot wound. How does that even make sense? How does that even make sense? How can you like be mistaken about a fucking gunshot wound? Sorry. they would follow around 4-year-old I mean, literally. Oh my god, literally. Literally, the FBI would literally follow 4-year-olds. And their friends, probably. That part I invented by, in my head, that's canon. They followed the daughter of that one communist and their friends. But that's just me dramatizing everything. Because following a 4-year-old isn't dramatic enough.
When Richard passed away, he had in his apartment 2 uniforms neatly pressed in his apartment. And one uniform was the Black Panther uniform. The other uniform that he had laid out and neatly pressed was his Army uniform, you know.
Look. Also, wait. Okay, this is a stretch. Okay, I will say this is a stretch. But he gave an interview where he basically denies that he was working for the FBI, and all of a sudden, a couple of years later, dies. Again, I know this is a stretch, but also, is it a stretch though? Is it a stretch? Aside from that, going back to what they just said, people who go to the military, for some of them, the military is sacred. I get it. His Black Panther uniform. He wasn't interested in communism. Roosevelt set out to learn the specifics of what Aoki did for the FBI. Sacred for a Black Panther, literally. Like, he wasn't interested in communism. I am literally going to make that a clip. Like, I will go back to this video and I will clip this.
Yeah,
He wasn't interested in communism.
Released about 1,900 pages on various organizations that Aoki had been involved with.
They're all libs now. I don't know. Fair. I mean, I don't know if he was. Did he become a lib? Did he become a lib? Do we know that? Hurry up, chat. Source. Source. Did he become a lib?
But it claimed it had no files on Richard Aoki himself.
Wait, what?
It released about 1,900 pages on. The FBI had released about 1,900 pages on various organizations that Aoki had been involved with, but it claimed it had no files on Richard Aoki himself. This was very strange.
Girl. Girl. 1,900 pages and not a single one mentioned him? We're finishing this video and we're watching that interview. I don't care if it's 10 hours. I need to cry about this guy because I want to believe in him.
Because Aoki was a
If you are not locked up or out of the country or dead, fair. I mean, he's legally dead now, so, you know.
major political activist.
Aoki wouldn't even have to be a member of the party if he just knew Huey Newton and Bobby Seale, and he went out to lunch with them every day. They would have a main file, but to say they don't have a main file is ludicrous.
In my opinion.
Okay, this guy literally was like 3 minutes ago was like, yeah, Aoki was working for the FBI, and I was like, what do you mean they don't have a file?
It's ludicrous.
In my opinion. The FBI has a responsibility to the community to give a full accounting of what its relationship with Richard Aoki was, especially because Aoki played such an important role in arming the Black Panthers.
Also, by the way, now I totally get why the comments are turned off in this video. Like, if we are all losing our minds over this video, like, is this true? Is this not true? Like, I can only imagine what 10 years of this video being on the internet could have said. Like, this video is false. Oh my god. Like, reveal fair. Fair move to remove the comments. Rosenfeld sued the FBI, arguing that more files on Aoki must exist. Again, I clearly see Rosenfeld's boss being like, and then you're going to sue the FBI. And Rosenfeld being like, with what money? We're going to give you the money. Haven't you been working with us? Oh my god. Don't you know how these things work? Former FBI agent Thoringen provided a sworn statement that he believed Aoki was an informant and that the FBI was withholding information. Look, he believed? Not that he knew. Not that there was. Not that he was an informant. He believed this guy was an informant, you know? Also, he also believed that the FBI was withholding information, you know, like, not necessarily related. Do you know what I mean? Again, I accept I have biases. I could be wrong. You know, this is just a conspiracy theory. Let's all put our tinfoil hats, honestly. But at the same time, though, he believed you know what I mean? Was that the guy who was his handler? Yes. No, like, Storinger was another FBI guy, apparently, you know, and it's like, who is like allegedly supporting the Rosenfeld was the guy who Aoki was the informant for. Former agent Storinger, who is another guy, says he believed yeah, because he has to do the paperwork. No, yeah, yeah. That's why I'm like, oh yeah, his co-worker is saying all of this. You know, like.
One of the things I learned in my research is that Richard had actually worked for the FBI.
Oh, how was that?
Well, he never mentioned this
No.
to you?
His heartbreak. Oh my god, I just heard it.
I mean, that's like a big surprise to me, you know, in terms of. I don't think I was ever heard any information, you know, as far as, you know, him even talking to the FBI. Yeah. So that's kind of a shocking thing for me to hear.
Okay, let's go back. Who was him? We're in 855. Lecturer and close friend of Aoki.
friend. He's like your friend for life.
Is there a possibility that he never told his closest friend because he would have probably be killed by the FBI if he knew? Yes. But also, I need a tinfoil hat picture. PNG. Why don't I have any PNGs? Google, I literally asked for a PNG and you are not giving me that. Why? I hate you. Google, you're useless. Either way, this is exactly what Quantum Pro is meant to do to us. I know, I hate it. But also, it's kind of fun.
I mean, that's like a big surprise to me, in terms of.
Also, why do you have to break his heart? No, let him be his friend. Never trust anybody except me. Look, there are only 3 reasons why I would ever have money in my life. I get a sugar daddy, which you would all know. That includes being Hassan's boyfriend. I somehow become a successful filmmaker, which that would be very public information. And 3, I become a grifter, and becoming a grifter includes working for the CIA or FBI. So, you all know. You all know. So, like, if I ever become the grifter, when I die, none of you will have your hearts broken. So, I'm letting you all know in advance. 8 years later, oh my god, Seb's suicided. Pray for me. Never trust anyone. Never trust anyone in front of a camera. Wow. I mean, to be fair, if I was a filmmaker, I would be behind the camera because I would be the director, but just saying.
Heard any information, as far as,
Why are they
talking
breaking his heart?
yeah. So that's kind of a shocking thing for me to hear, yeah. He pretty much compartmentalizes all his different.
This is why, okay, and ironically, like, I'm saying this laughing because I'm also holding back tears, but also, like, this is literally why we need to destroy the patriarchy. Like, if it wasn't for the patriarchy, men would not feel the need to compartmentalize our emotions and etc, and we would, like, be able to share things like, hey, best friend, I happen to be an FBI agent, please don't tell anyone, thank you, bye. So yeah,
parts of his life. He has friends from this period, friends from that period, and then the Asian American movement and the World Strike period.
and that is the thing that makes me very sus of the fact that I really, like, they literally showed a photo of him like being held by the cops. There is literally a photo of him with the cops. I'm like, yeah. In response to Rosenfeld's lawsuit, the court ordered the FBI to release all records on Aoki it had been withholding. This is spoilers. The FBI has yet to release about 4,000 pages of files. Okay, by the way, this is from 10 years ago, so there is a like probably like the documents, if they exist, have already been released. Though knowing the FBI, they probably haven't. But yeah. Bobby Steele and the FBI have refused to comment on this for this story. Bobby Steele. Oh, you mean the one out of the two Black Panther Party founders that happened not to be killed by the FBI? Interesting. From now on, this will be my take to convince conservative communists. Oh my god. In August 2012, 30 years after he began his project, Rosenfeld's book was published. Subversive. Oh my god. Shout out to Subversive History. The FBI's war on student radicals and Reagan's rise to power.
Am I wrong?
I think you are.
I'm literally going to cry right now. Oh my god, he's confirming he's not an agent. Oh my god, stop. Oh my god, it's happening, everyone. Oh my god, brace yourselves. It's happening. Am I wrong? I think you are.
Yeah. So, would you say it's untrue that you ever worked with the FBI or got paid by the FBI?
I would say it.
Yeah.
Oh my god, this was the journey, everyone. We survived. We survived.
I'm trying to understand the complexities about it, and I think
It is complex.
Oh my god, there is more to it. Oh my god, there is nuance. Oh my god, there are contradictions. The contradictions are deepening.
I believe it is, and
Layer upon layer.
So sus. I don't know what to believe. I believe that he wasn't an FBI informant, you know. And I could be wrong, but also I don't want to be wrong. Are we watching the hour-long interview? I hate you, Bolden. Where is it? Why is there two parts to this video? Also, I don't know how these motherfuckers, like... I laughed. I cried. I doubted myself and doubted others. But we came to the other side. This was a motherfucking roller coaster that I never want to be put on again. I fucking hate the FBI. I hate the CIA. Fuck the USA. Literally abolish and burn it to the fucking ground. Bye. I hate you, Bolden. Oh yeah, by the way, Sam, I wanted to clip. I hate you. I hate you, Bolden. I wanted to clip like Oh my god, I already forgot. I wanted to clip. Oh, he wasn't. He's not interested in communism. Here.
And the character, he said, I don't have any interest in communism.
I don't have any interest in communism. Shut up. Shut up. Fucking threat hill person. Yes, I was going to use the B word, but I won't because I'm a good feminist and I don't use the B word. Hmm. Okay. No, I know it. Don't worry. Thank you. Thank you. I hate you, Bolden. I am too bad on Among Us to be an active communist. Fair. This is okay. Two reasons why not to be a revolutionary. One, you could be killed by the FBI or CIA. Two, you cannot trust anyone. Two, it is literally Among Us IRL.
This is a Peralta News special report.
I'm literally going to. This is literally going to be the title of my stream. Also, I've been streaming for 3 hours and a half, so if you're able to subscribe, give subs, cheer with bits, or donate, it would be much appreciated. Also, if you happen to have Amazon Prime, you can just use it in this stream for free. So you just connect your. You all know what Amazon Prime is. I don't know why I'm acting like you all don't know. Like, if you have Prime, use it here. Thank you. Bye. But regardless, thank you everyone for being here. This is a way longer stream than I anticipated. So, yeah, thank you. It's been a journey. Let me get the link for you.
Sorry, that was a real soapbox.
Thank
Why did I
you.
say sorry?
Oh my god, Bolden, stop.
Балден 6 just subscribed. Себездел и TSGO.
Wait, what? Oh. Sorry, I like changed browsers and my chat was like weird. Yeah. No, but really like I appreciate it. Like I like kind of restarted streaming after like streaming basically once a month for the last year, and like I appreciate it.
Recently, evidence has surfaced that Richard Aoki may have been an FBI informant.
Lies. Okay, by the way, like trigger content warning. We will proceed by just assuming that he isn't an FBI informant. Okay? I will still do my dramatics and be like, but maybe he was, but for real, like, I believe he wasn't, but yeah. So, Oh, stop.
In 2008, we interviewed
Also,
Richard
is the volume okay?
Aoki at length, and here is his story.
I feel like they're talking a bit low.
His
struggle for
Is
freedom,
it?
justice, and equality
That's what Welcome Boy thing.
transcends racial and ethnic barriers.
Was he an FBI informant?
Also, I will put it in
Welcome to the
1.25
Revolution.
just in case.
Here's Richard Aoki's story in his own
Innocent until proven guilty, let's fucking.
words.
In his own words. Oh my god. We stand.
This is a Peralta News.
I mean, we literally already heard him. we literally already heard him say that he wasn't. So, you know.
News special report. I'm Jeff Heyman. In 2008, Peralta TV produced an award-winning documentary on the origins of the
You
Black
should
Panther
do
Party.
a poll. Oh my god. Are there any non-believers? Aoki. Are there any non-believers? He said he would say he wasn't. I know, but still, like, look, I need to suss out if there are any non-believers in chat right now. You know?
Merritt College. As part of the documentary, we interviewed Richard Aoki, who was active with the Panthers at their formation. He later became an administrator, counselor, and teacher at the Peralta Community College District. Now, in light of the allegations that he may have worked with the FBI, we have decided to air Peralta TV's entire interview with Richard Aoki. Here's Richard Aoki's story in his own words.
You might say I was a founding member of the Black Panther Party. I started out as a branch captain because I was the only member of the party at the University of California. I transferred from Merritt College to the University of California the month the party was founded. And it was Huey's idea to have a branch at UC Berkeley, and since I was the only student there, I was given the rank of branch captain. Huey's father was a lay minister, and he urged me to be fruitful and multiply. So I spent the next couple of years at Berkeley as the branch captain there, where I recruited a number of students to the Black Panther Party, to the Berkeley chapter, which was entirely underground, because at that time, any African American or any students at Berkeley who joined the Black Panther Party could be expelled from Berkeley. Those days were marked by a tremendous amount of political repression, and the university was no different than any other institution in this country about being anti-whatever it was that they didn't like. During that period of time, at least 2 other Asian Americans joined the party. I was born and raised in the Bay Area. I was born before World War II.
Oh my god. We have a non-believer in chat. How dare you?
And the Empire of Japan.
It's okay. It's okay.
And the Empire of the United States collided in the Pacific in 1941. The Japanese population on the West Coast were interned in concentration camps throughout the country. We were no different than the others. My family was relocated to Topaz, Utah, to a concentration camp in the middle of the scenic Utah desert, where it was 120 degrees in the shade in the summer, and the snow drifts were 6 feet high in the winter. I was only about this high growing up there, and we had no indoor plumbing, so it was a bit of a challenge for me growing up. After spending about 3.5 to 4 years in Topaz, I was brought back to the Bay Area to live with my father's family in West Oakland. West Oakland, prior to World War II, was known as Little Yokohama because of the high concentration of people of Japanese ancestry living there. Most of them moved there from San Francisco after there. high concentration prior to live with my father's back.
Did he say 120 degrees?
After spending about 3.5 to 4 years in Topaz, I was brought back to the Bay Area to live with my father's family in West Oakland. West Oakland, prior to World War II, was known as Little Yokohama because of the high concentration of people of Japanese ancestry living there. Most of them moved there from San Francisco after the earthquake of 1906. My grandfather came to the United States in 1902. Both my grandparents were immigrants, but my parents were American-born citizens.
Yeah.
So during World War II, with the depopulation of the Japanese, there was an increase of the African-American population in West Oakland. These were mostly Southern blacks who came to Oakland to work in the defense industries, the military installations. Even prior to World War II, there was a significant African-American population in West Oakland as a result of the railroads. Oakland was the western terminus of the Transcontinental Railroad, and the African-American Brotherhood of Sleeping Car Porters was very strong in Oakland. In fact, C.L. Dellums, Ron Dellums' uncle, and Ron himself lived in West Oakland. In fact, I sort of knew the family offhand and met them after I moved to Oakland. In fact, Dellums and I crossed a few times over the last 50 years or so in interesting ways. And one has to recall that in 1945, residential segregation was still the law of the land, so the West Oakland ghetto was a self-contained community. 7th Street in West Oakland was like whatever the main drag in Harlem is. And I recall growing up there and having fun on 7th Street, going to places like Slim Jenkins. It was a nightclub, but I was a little kid. I'd just wander around at night. Esther's Orbit Room, which came later. The Lincoln Theater, the neighborhood theater that would play the movies after the Paramount and the Fox Oakland had shown them in downtown Oakland for the white people. We got to see the first run pictures after that. I was homeschooled up until I was about 13, and then went to Herbert Hoover Junior High School and attended that, graduated a year later, was valedictorian of my class, and was supposed to go to McClymonds High School, but a funny thing happened on the first day of school. The principal of McClymonds had heard that my class out of Herbert Hoover was coming in the fall and made some sort of statement like, when the animals got to McClymonds from Herbert Hoover, he made but a funny thing happened on the first day of school. The principal of McClymonds had heard that my class out of Herbert Hoover was coming in the fall and made some sort of statement like, when the animals got to McClymonds from Herbert Hoover, he was going to put the animals in their cages. We had some reputation there as youngsters. So the first day of school, there was a big riot. The principal and vice principal were stomped, and it was alleged that there was an Oriental who was involved in the stomping. My mother, who had just gained custody of me, made sure I didn't go back to McClymonds and got me into Berkeley High School, because she was living in Berkeley at the time. And the next thing I knew,
I'm a bit confused about the Hoover part. Did Hoover went to his high school? But apart from that, I'm still following the story.
relocated from West Oakland to South Berkeley, which is also kind of an African-American neighborhood, but there was a significant class difference. The African-Americans in West Oakland were mostly new immigrants, not as well educated as the Berkeley African-American population. It has to do with migration and settlement patterns. You often find this in immigrants coming from overseas that settle in certain urban areas, and then as assimilation, acculturation, assimilation takes place, tend to move out to better neighborhoods and eventually to the suburbs. Anyway, growing up in West Oakland was one of the most significant experiences for me, because I was immersed in African American culture. I mean, I was living there. Got to appreciate the music and the food, yes. Ham hocks, lima beans, black-eyed peas, smothered chicken, all that sort of stuff. And I began to notice, not that I was analyzing the socioeconomic situation, that there was a great deal of similarity between the concentration camp experience and the racial segregation in West Oakland at the time, but I didn't think that much of it. I hit Berkeley High School, which was at that time one of the top 10 high schools in the whole country. I even think that much of it. I hit Berkeley High School, which was at that time one of the top 10 high schools in the whole country.
Interesting.
I even sat in a math class with the daughter of E.O. Lawrence, you know, the Nobel Prize. And I did notice that African Americans weren't in classes that I was in, primarily because at that time in the 50s, Berkeley High had a tracking system. Generally speaking, white and Oriental students were in the college prep track, and African American students and lower class, working class, white students would be in the vocational education track. Well, while I was in high school, I decided I wanted to make a career in the military. I wanted to be a soldier. And so I completed 3 years of high school in 2.5 years. Several months before I was scheduled to graduate, the Soviet Union invaded Hungary. That was in October of 1956. And it looked like there was a war coming. And I figured at that time, if there's a war coming, they're going to need soldiers. And I wanted to be a soldier, so I went down to 16th and Clay, which was the military induction center for the East Bay, and said, I'm here to serve our country.
Like, it's so cute how he's laughing at himself. like he's like, oh my god, I'm like so ignorant coming to serve the country. Oh my god. Because the college is there probably humidity, the lake effect or something. Interesting.
And they said, well, we'll take you in. Your mother's going to have to sign for you. My mother was not enthralled about that. And she insisted that they promised I would go into the medical corps because medics on the battlefield aren't supposed to get shot. You know, they're out there tending to the wounded. Geneva Convention says you're not supposed to shoot at medics out there in the field. Well, little did my mother know that out there, Army corpsmen, Navy corpsmen have one of the highest casualty rates of all the services. But in order for me to get in, I had to agree, and the Army had to agree, that I would be in the medical corps from the get-go. But the recruiting sergeant said, once I'm in, I could do what I want. I could transfer to what I really wanted to do, the infantry. So they delayed my going on active duty basic training until I graduated from Berkeley High in January of '57. 3 days after graduation. My mother was also disappointed to find out that I was UC Berkeley eligible. 25% of the graduating class of Berkeley High during the 50s went directly to UC Berkeley. That's a reflection on the high academic standing of Berkeley High at the time. It's not.
Interesting. In junior high, Aoki joined a gang. Later would brag that he was a great street fighter and still managed to become a co-valedictorian. Oh my god, with 10! Later, in a deal of expunge his criminal record, Aoki spent 1 year in active duty serving the United States Army, first as a medic and later in the infantry, and 7 years in the reserves. Interesting.
That way today, but that's the way it was.
I love being a gang and also being a co-valedictorian. Like, the range.
Was in the 50s.
The variety. Yeah.
3 days after graduation, I was down at Fort Ord, California.
He was literally the OG Hannah Montana.
Marching around carrying a rifle. Well, after I finished my basic training, I then went and completed my medical training. I became a medical, surgical, and x-ray technician, thereby honoring my commitment to my mother. Then I quietly asked for a transfer to the infantry, which they granted, and they said, "You're a good soldier."
I love
They
him.
thought it was odd because
I mean, I don't love that he was in the military, right? But like him being in the medic sector just because of his mother. And he like still like feeling, oh my god, I was so naughty. Like, girl, you're literally like 80 years old. Oh my god, I was so naughty. I know for people like myself, he didn't mention it though. Fighter Street, Marty in the sheet. Oh my god. In the sheets of school note.
because usually the transfers requests go the other way from infantry to medical corps. Medics eat a lot better. They get a ration and a half per day because they didn't have to be real healthy to take care of the wounded. And anybody that transferred from the medical corps to the infantry must have a problem. I did. I wanted to be a career soldier. I was going to be the first Japanese-American general in the history of the United States Army and worked my way up through the ranks. None of that West Point garbage for me. But being from a lower class family, I probably wouldn't have made it to West Point because you have to have some sort of congressman write you a letter of recommendation and sponsor you. But I wasn't exactly enthralled about that because I didn't know any congressman.
Wow. I mean, like, it doesn't... Okay. Wow, you have to have connections to get up the ladder in the US. Wow, so surprising. But at the same time, like, I didn't know how much, like, how many connections you truly have to, like, make it in the military. Interesting.
We think that this educational process is necessary, and it's the people that will cause the revolution, and it's the people that will cause the change in the country. The Black Panther Party is simply the vanguard of the revolution, and we plan to teach the people the strategy and the necessary tools to liberate themselves.
That time, Truman desegregated the armed forces in 1948. Up to that time, minorities served in segregated outfits. I could go back to the 442nd Regimental Combat Team that was Japanese-American, the most highly decorated outfit in the history of the U.S. military, and they were my role models. In fact, when I told other soldiers I was Japanese-American, I got respect because all the veterans could flash on World War II and the 442nd. I won't go into the illustrious history of the 442nd. The blacks were also segregated up until 1948. We know about the Tuskegee Airmen. They were also kind of role models of mine because I was also a military historian-oriented type person. In fact, my Strong Campbell interest inventory test that I later took when I was undergoing my psychometric training when I was at Merritt College, I took all the tests I was giving to students and took them myself just to see how valid these tests were. And on the Strong Campbell, on the military part, I went off the scale. I went to my mentor, Dr. Harry Cochran, who was employed at Merritt at the time, and he was a college psychometrist, and he said, "I've never seen one this high before, Richard." So I served a total of 8 years, active, reserve.
Okay, I'm going to be real. I feel like he's too intelligent to be an FBI informant. You know, like, I don't know, very humble man.
And was in a few service training things. I went to the Non-Commissioned Officers Academy down at Fort Ord. That's where I learned about medics. I was taking my sniper training, and I was told, well, you're only going to get one shot off, Richard. You know, you got to be careful how you use it. So when you look over a group, anybody carrying a sidearm, field glasses, radio, pop them. If they're carrying a medic handbag, pop them. I raised my hand. I said, you know, I was told you're not supposed to shoot a medic, and the Geneva Convention says the same thing. Guy says, get wise, Richard. You know, wake up, smell the roses there.
No. Also, the U.S. military not following literally international conventions. Oh my God, I'm so surprised. I believe he's an informant more and more the longer he goes on. Oh my God, no, Sinjo.
It was interesting in the.
I mean, to be fair, he's right now just talking about like him being in the military, so fair.
Jerry, I enjoyed it. I was a good trooper. I was a happy camper. They let me play with every toy.
The U.S. would know more than anyone
I ever wanted to. 45 semi-automatic, M1 Garand, and I was an expert on that. M1 carbine, Thompson submachine gun, M3 grease gun, Browning automatic rifle, 30 caliber light machine gun. One time, they let me fire a quad 50, and that's 4 50 caliber machine guns mounted on a half track. I almost had an orgasm.
Did it?
The
No,
power of that.
I feel like I was just very still. Is it still frozen or freezed? Or was it just me not moving? Because I can... Oh, okay. I think I was just like... Oh.
Okay, boy, you're through now. You can let go. You're using up more ammo than any other recruit we've ever had. I almost let go.
Also, to be fair, I am a bit like... that should be a sound clip. What? I always look at moving banner at the top to know if you're frozen. Interesting. My whole beard is frozen in my end. Thanks. Oh.
And that's 4 50 caliber machine guns mounted on a half track. I almost had an orgasm. The power of that. Okay, boy, you're through now. You can let go. You're using up more ammo than any other recruit we've ever had. But after 7 years, I began to have reservations about my military service because...
By the way, Arberlin, you can clip it and I can make it a sound alert or... Yeah.
By that time, NAM had quietly started up. People think of JFK as a peace-loving president, but I was in the Army when he quietly activated the 5th and 10th Green Berets at Fort Bragg. And then the scuttlebutt around the barracks was, this is a good chance for a career move. So I volunteered. I said, oh boy, Green Berets, hey, that's for me.
It's okay, don't worry.
I said, sign me up. And they said, well, you're not qualified. You have to you have to have this, you have to have that, and you don't have that and this yet. Come back in a couple more years and we'll take you. I said, oh, shoot. But in a way, I'm kind of glad that I wasn't qualified at the time. Meanwhile, I began talking with buddies that were coming back from Vietnam in the early stages who had been advisors. And they were telling me stories I couldn't quite believe. They were talking about Zippo-ing villages, you know, going into villages and burning the whole damn place down and wiping out women and children. And this was years before My Lai. And I said, wait a minute, that doesn't sound kosher to me in the sense that I'm planning to be a professional soldier, and professional soldiers don't commit atrocities against civilians. And I can't be a party to that. Plus, my family from samurai stock in Japan, and that's not an honorable thing to do. Going mano a mano, hey, that's part of the game. But women and children, I don't play that. Even on the streets, I never played that. I was a young hoodlum in West Oakland and Berkeley, but...
Is this the redemption arc? Teen child?
Those type of things weren't on my table at the time, and never has been. So,
Oh yeah, I did want to mention, like, I feel now it comes out. I feel pretty like detached of him like talking about the military, because I'm just like I've gotten used to like for example Castle and, well, he doesn't go like Castle, Reading for Liberation and Silver's military knowledge, that I'm like, I mean, there are people who just know all this stuff, so I just don't question it anymore.
the 7th year, I really started having moral reservations about the war in Vietnam. When you're in the military, you hear a lot of stuff and you find out a lot of stuff civilians don't know about. So I was a couple of years ahead of the American public regarding what was really going on in Vietnam. So at the end of my 8 years, I went down to Oakland Army Terminal and
Welcome back, Tony.
was looking forward to getting my honorable discharge, which was all set and ready to go. And the regimental clerk was there and had all the papers, and I signed off and got my muster.
I mean, I don't know though. I mean, I don't know because he's not mentioning it, right? But like, was the U.S. deploying military at both countries? I feel like this is a stupid question. Like, of course they were. But I don't know.
Travel pay.
Also, I wonder what was he feeling? What did he feel about like Korea and Vietnam? I don't know.
And everything. And he had another set of papers, enlistment papers for another.
Korean War ended. Was he in active military for 1 year in the 50s? Probably Korea, maybe PR or something. Interesting.
8 years that the colonel had instructed him to prepare, because once I got my discharge.
I'm like, PR, public relations.
I was supposed to had instructed him to prepare, because once I got my discharge, I was supposed to sign up for another 8 years. 8 plus 8 is 16 plus 4, 20 years, be a career soldier. Military retirement. Probably be a general at that time, yes. Anyway, I declined the enlistment or re-enlistment. Next thing I know, the clerk is calling the colonel. Gets the colonel out of bed in the middle of the night, and he comes down to the base and says, "What's up?" And I say, "Well, we have a little problem here." Well, I don't think the clerk does. Richard's out, but he was not coming back in. So the colonel says, "Why not, Richard? I mean, you're one of the best we have. You're one of the 100,000 we got in the reserves now that are A1 material that we want to keep." So I guess.
He talked about being discharged after him Vietnam, probably be a general. This guy. Okay.
Getting nervous a little bit. I'm saying, "Wait, I'm free. I'm free. The discharge means I'm a civilian again." He said, "Look, we're going to sweeten up the pot here. If you re-up, I'm prepared to offer you admission to OCS, Officer Candidate School at Fort Benning, Georgia. 22 weeks, you'll be a second lieutenant, because you've been through the non-commissioned officers academy. Next thing is the commissioned officers school. And then, since you wanted to be in the Green Berets, we're going to put you into the 101st Airborne, the Screaming Eagles. You've always wanted that one too." There was a time when I was young that I was willing to jump out of an airplane with full combat gear and a parachute. You know, I won't do it today, but then I was young. I was willing to do it. And he then threw in, "I'm prepared to offer you $3,500 bonus cash for signing up again." In the barracks, we referred to the re-enlistment bonuses as blood money, making us professional soldier mercenaries. We had a saying that mercenaries kill for money.
Maybe like, but you declined it, right? Right?
I'm trying to remember. Mercenaries kill for money, sadists kill for pleasure, we kill for both. I said, wow. Shows you how indoctrinated one can become when one's young and exposed to all this negative stuff. Anyway, I ended up declining the offer.
That fucking guy!
Walking out, a free man. Spent a weekend in San Francisco and blew my muster out pay, my travel pay, and any back pay. I had a wonderful time, what I can remember. The Barbary Coast, old North Beach, was going at the time, and I had fun.
We got him, everyone.
Anyway, I said, well, what am I going to do now? I'm out of the military. While I was in the reserves, I started taking classes at Merritt College at night just to see what community college was like, because it was only a couple blocks away from my mother's home, and I was living with my mother.
I still think he kind of sus. Honestly, fair.
And
fair.
So I had to get a job. I went down to Alta Bates Hospital, and because of my medical training, they hired me there.
Like, he's entirely sus. Oh my god. Is he sus or? I was going to say something horrible. No. I believe in him, and the only reason I believe in him is because he's literally me for real. Like when he was like, "But we aren't supposed to shoot at the medic." Like that would literally be me in the military. But whatever.
Hardly. They didn't pay
I don't
me
think so. Even though I wasn't able to catch everything you over about him.
that much. I then went to work driving a truck, got a little better money. Then I lucked out and got a good union job in a factory. I was a quality control technician, and Merritt College trained me. The company had a deal with Merritt College where they would train the quality control technicians in their factory. And I applied for that and got it, and making good money, had a good union job.
If I didn't know who he was, I think he's either an interesting, neither leftist or not right person, or a full leftist.
In the process, I began running into socialists, communists, liberals, college where they would
all of a sudden hitting me with communism, and I'm like, what?
Train quality control technicians in their factory, and I applied for that and got it, and making good money, had a good union job, and in the process I began running into socialists, communists, liberals, trade unionists, strong trade unionists, many of them
socialists, communists, liberals, trade unionists. Like socialist, communist, liberal.
of them had been in the trade union movements. Many had been in subversive organizations during the 30s and 40s. The 50s kind of wiped out that group because of the red baiting and the blacklisting of potential subversives, etc. But they turned me on to Marx and Engels.
That's part one of our three-part.
Girl, you can. Oh my god, how dare you? Literally. These motherfuckers were like, yeah, we're going to make them watch the 2 fucking parts.
Part interview with Richard Aoki, conducted in 2008 as part of Peralta TV's documentary on the origins of the Black Panther Party. We'll be back next time with part 2 of our interview with Richard Aoki.
Of course I'm going to watch part 2. How dare you? Literally offensive. 24-hour stream, let's go literally. Okay, and ironically, okay, if we reach the goal, 24-hour stream right now. If we reach 69 subscribers tonight, 24 hours. That's offensive. Okay, before we continue, let's have a little break. with the funnies. This is a
Sorry, first time being.
This is a full
Sorry, first time
encapsulation
being
of what it's like to be a Gen Zer.
kidnapped, kind of nervous. So, like, why did you pick me? Do you think I'm cute? Sorry.
Yeah.
First time being kidnapped, kind of nervous. So, like, why did you pick me? Do you think I'm cute? I'm gonna kill you. Okay, daddy vibes. We love a bad boy king, and I wanna die.
There's something wrong with your generation.
Freeze! Police! You're safe now, ma'am. Okay, ew, police. It's not that deep. Chill. And did you just assume my gender? Because that's offensive.
But I'm here to say.
That's offensive.
But you were.
That's offensive. Sorry, first time being kidnapped, kind of nervous.
I love it. Like, it is literally meal.
So, like, why did you pick me? Do you think
Yeah,
I'm cute?
yeah.
I'm gonna kill you.
Okay, daddy vibes. We love a bad boy king, and I wanna die.
There's something wrong with your generation.
Freeze! Police! You're safe now, ma'am. Okay,
Ew,
ew,
police.
police. It's not that
That's not
deep.
deep.
Chill. And
Chill.
did you just assume my gender? Because that's offensive.
But I'm here to say.
That's offensive.
But you were.
That's offensive. Sorry, first time being.
I love that first time being kidnapped, like, he knows he's going to get kidnapped in the future somehow, like, we stand. We stand. It's not a deep chill. Like, I love that you police, like, the police discussing, oh my god.
Kidnapped, kind of nervous.
With your generation.
Freeze! Police! You're safe now, ma'am. Okay, ew, police. It's not that deep. Chill. And did you just assume my gender? Because that's offensive.
But I'm here to say.
That's offensive.
But you were.
That's offensive.
I love it. Okay. Another day, ciao. I had some whitey men staring and smiling at me on the train, and I was literally like, disgusting. Okay. Let's continue. We left off this interview when the communists presented him to Marx and Engels. Oh! Okay.
This is a Peralta News special report.
Also, I didn't like the previous video, so I'm going to go back to like it. We love the drama, yes.
This is a Peralta News special report. Recently, evidence has surfaced that Richard Aoki may have been an FBI informant. In 2008, we interviewed Richard Aoki at length, and here is his story in his words.
The struggle for freedom, justice, and equality transcends racial and ethnic barriers.
Was he an FBI informant? Or a committed revolutionary? Here's Richard Aoki.
Okay, I mean, to be fair, typically the pipeline is military and then you go to the CIA, not the FBI. But it wouldn't surprise me either way, you know. Release the files.
Aoki's story in his own words. This is a Peralta News special report. I'm Jeff Heyman. In 2008, Peralta TV produced an award-winning documentary on the origins of the Black Panther Party at Merritt College. As part of the documentary, we interviewed Richard Aoki, who was active with the Panthers at their formation. He later became an administrator, counselor, and teacher at the Peralta Community College District. Now, in light of the allegations that he may have worked with the FBI, we have decided to air Peralta TV's entire interview with Richard Aoki. Was Richard Aoki an FBI informer, as recent allegations suggest, or was he a committed revolutionary?
Also, what do you mean recent allegations? As in 2013? When the Black Panther Party was active during the 60s? Hello? Make it make sense? You literally can't. Like, why were there sudden allegations of him being an FBI agent? Like, literally half a century after the Black Panther Party. You know what I mean? Like, hello? Must have read some shit, literally.
And now part 2 of our interview with Richard Aoki.
I was living.
Like, was this the discourse on Twitter 10 years ago? Like, was this what the left on Twitter was this what the left on Twitter discussing about?
Berkeley, I began going to the Berkeley demonstrations and forums and classes that they had there off campus, not the UC classes themselves, but mostly educational classes given by anarchists, democratic socialists, communists. They didn't call themselves communists, they had front groups going, Trotskyists. There were some Maoists there. They
Look, I was already sus when he said sock them, then he said anarchists, and I was like, communists, Trotskyists, Maoists.
were what we would call,
to be fair, fair.
the old left, the more traditional radical groups. The new left hadn't been born yet. They were still playing around in high school, hadn't quite hit Berkeley. Meanwhile, I was advised by a lot of friends and co-workers that I should seriously think about getting a formal education. And since I was eligible for admission to UC Berkeley at the time, because of my Berkeley High background, I thought, well, maybe I better get an education, get my degree, get a job.
Okay, can we just, like, take a second to acknowledge how easy things were back then? Or at least for him, to be fair, he was, like, pretty... I mean, he was pretty privileged, I mean, at least, like, geographically. But still, like, imagine just being like, I decided to get an education. Like, I literally cannot fathom someone saying that in 2020, in 2023, like he's going based on a script. Oh my god. The hippies in Berkeley hadn't happened yet, I think. But Besties did acting, Wow. Is it because he's Asian? I wish there were dates. I'm confused. Yeah, me too.
Get married, have my 2.5 kids, and move out to the suburbs, the American dream. Meanwhile, I said, well...
I mean, to be fair, okay, the internment camps, fighting steps this week, oh my god. The internment camps happened in the 40s, right? So it is not making sense, like, so far you could construct the timeline and it would kind of fit, because, like, he was in, like, he finished high school and joined the military for 8 years, and so let's say, I mean, he was 8 in the early 40s, right? So by the end of his military 8 years, 24. In the early 60s, he would be like around 20 something. So, so far, the timeline kind of makes sense. So yeah, I believe in him.
If I go to Merritt College, I could save money because Merritt College has a university.
The story over and over again. The new left was basically the anti-communist left that pushed any form of Marxism and socialism out around the end of the 1960s.
Transfer track, where if you complete 2 years at Merritt College, you can transfer to UC Berkeley, almost guaranteed. And since I was UC Berkeley eligible, if I didn't like Merritt College, I could transfer anytime I wanted. So I thought, well, why not? So in 1964, I became a full-time student at Merritt College, just quit my union job, got a lower-paying part-time job, but my fiancée was working at a good office job. And
okay, now this is where I get fast. Where did the fiancé came into the picture. Like, hello?
We were planning our little life together there. And my first year at Merritt College, I declared my major as chemistry. Yeah. Well, contrary to popular opinion, all Orientals don't have that gene in them that makes them good in science. That chemistry beat my butt. But at the same time, I had to also take German because UC Berkeley required German as a foreign language for their chemistry majors, since most of the significant chemical abstracts were written in German at that time. Because I wondered, what the heck do I have to take? You know, I have to take a foreign language, but why German? And that's why I had to take German. I don't know if the name Lloyd Baisdorfer means anything to Jeff, but Lloyd Baisdorfer was a German instructor, later became dean, almost president, but excuse me, he was my German instructor the first year.
My fiance had a good office job at the Fader. They were handy, never mind. Wait, what?
Now that turned out to be very handy because as I was studying Marxism on my own, I discovered that I really couldn't understand Marx unless I dealt with Hegel. When I read Hegel in the English, his Phenomenology of the Mind, I couldn't understand it, so I figured that it was a bad translation. So I got
Oh, it's German. I was like, it's okay. Okay. He's like, honestly, him saying that he's reading Hegel, it's making me thought of him.
my little Langenscheid's German-English
Like, why?
dictionary.
Read Mao.
And got Hegel. Since I was close at Berkeley, I could pick up anything. You know, I got a copy of Hegel, Phenomenology of the Mind, from a bookstore in Berkeley in German, and had Lloyd sort of help me along when I couldn't understand what I was reading. Meanwhile, as I was getting seated at Merritt College, I ran into two guys whose families I knew. Well, really three.
Also, if Bolden's still here, Bolden, this better be on my time. Just saying.
The first was Bobby Seale, and Bobby had been in the Air Force and had gotten a less than honorable discharge for going upside the head of an officer for calling him,
spoiler alert, I win in the end,
the N-word. But he'd been in the military, and he was a pre-engineering student. Then I ran into Huey Newton. I knew the Newton family. I knew Melvin Newton. He was my age. Huey to officer for calling him the N-word. But he'd been in the military, and he was a pre-engineering student.
Wait, who was in the military?
And guys
Wait, was Bobby still in the military? Maybe I'm... Okay.
Getting seated at Merritt College, I ran into two guys whose families I knew. Well, really three. The first was Bobby Seale. And Bobby had been in the Air Force and had gotten a less than honorable discharge for going upside the head of an officer for calling him the N-word. But he'd been in the military, and he was a pre-engineering student. Then I ran into Huey Newton. I knew the Newton family. I knew Melvin Newton. He was my age. Huey's a little younger than I am, about 4 years younger. Huey was in pre-law, and he had to be because he was a wannabe gangster. Had to have all the wits about him, all the edges that he could have, because he was getting busted right and left. Then there was David Hilliard, who was a longshoreman at the time.
I mean, okay, to be fair, FLFNF, like, the thing is, like, a lot of, I wouldn't say a lot of terms, but at least when he was talking about Maoism, like, again, like, Maoism is a term that has changed meaning a lot, like, especially from the 60s. So I don't mind that. And yeah, like, I don't know. I didn't perceive anything of how he described things as particularly sus. Um, but yeah, I don't know. Sussing out infiltrators like Whitney Houston found out that her husband was cheating on her in the "It's Not Right but It's Okay" music video. Oh my god. The description reminds me of Robespierre. Oh my
Had a
god.
good job. African Americans in West Oakland did well by being in the Longshoremen's Union, thanks to Harry Bridges. May have been a communist, but he opened up the Longshoremen's Union for blacks on the West Coast and Orientals in Hawaii.
What do you mean may have been a communist but?
The Longshoremen's Union for blacks on the West Coast and Orientals in Hawaii. Carl Yoneda, one of the leading Japanese Americans in the Longshoremen's Union, was a...
Like, it is kind of like, I'm having kind of a cultural generational shock how he says like Orientals, but then he also says Japanese Americans, and it's like, what? Because like he's also saying black, but then he also says African Americans, and I'm like, and to be fair, again, I trust him. To be fair, like those were terms that they would use at the time, you know, like language changes and all that stuff, you know. So I'm like not like too shocked by his usage of those words, but at the same time, it's like kind of like what? So, in that he studied law and getting his own ass out of trouble. Oh my god. Oh, okay. Yeah.
Staunch communist. And I sort of got to know him by reputation, and he was sort of a minor role model in the sense, well, there's somebody who's Oriental that was a communist. Well, that's interesting. Anyway, by my second year at Merit, I had become a revolutionary socialist, self-proclaimed, yes. And I founded the Socialist Discussion Club, where I invited all the big-time revolutionaries from the old left in Berkeley to come to Merit to speak, because I wanted them to throw their ideas out to me and fellow students here. I managed to get a bunch of younger people who were interested, but weren't as committed, which was good, and had a little thing going. Meanwhile, Bobby had become head of the Seoul Students Advisory Council, a Negro group. And because Bobby was head of the Seoul Students Advisory Council and I was head of the head of Socialist Discussion.
Again, we went over this history, so far everything is tracking. This did happen, so.
Club. We met at these inter-club council meetings and stuff. Well, there were fraternities and sororities at Merritt College, these young wannabes, They weren't good enough to go to Berkeley. They started their own things at Merritt College. And it was kind of humorous looking at the class-related phenomena at Merritt College, because I had become aware of California's Master Plan for Higher Education that was passed in 1960, where the roles of the various colleges and universities were somewhat delineated, where the University of California system was somewhat designed for the top 10% of the graduates from the high schools. The state universities was designed for the top 1/3 of the graduates. And the community colleges were sort of the catch-all for everybody else. However, the curriculum for the community colleges was not exclusive. They did have that component for university transfer, state and UC system, alongside the vocational.
Interesting. He's head of the socialist movement because he's the only student there, and he thinks it's interesting for a person who is Oriental to be a communist. I mean, that's the thing, like I don't know what else he knew, like, because like it is it is easy for us to judge, because like we know what happened, but at the same time it's also like interesting because like didn't he know about like the Chinese Revolution, but also like the Chinese Revolution was like literally happening, like I don't know. And like for example the Korean War, right? Like were people aware about the Korean War? Do you know what I mean? Like how how aware were people? Because like for example, I hear always like people talking about like the Vietnam War, but I never hear people talk about like the Korean War in the same vein or in the same like level of national awareness, for example. So, to you in the military, I would think so. I mean, it was literally no, it was already post World War II. I don't know. He may well mean that immigrant Asians in his community were unlikely to be communists. That is fair. Wasn't Communist Party of Japan like pretty active during World War II? Yes, but I don't know how he would know that. Do you know what I mean? Like, or I don't know how connected was the Communist Party of Japan to the diaspora at that time, or even currently. You know what I mean? Like, uh, he lives at a port. Fair. The Forgotten War in the USA for a reason. I didn't know that. San Francisco, it had just happened. But he was also in the internment camp. I don't know. It's like weird because like I don't know literally. Like I literally don't know. Like what was known in the US. So I just literally don't know. And I like feel bad because it's not like I don't know because I want to defend him. I just literally don't know. Overshadowed by Vietnam in the US as far as discourse goes. Interesting.
Technical programs, and that appealed to me because it sort of made sense.
But he was right there. I mean, that's another thing. I mean, like, you know, so like for example, my mom like lived in Peru during the Fujimori years, but all she ever experienced was the shining past terrorism. You know what I mean? Like most of the most of my mother's generation in that class only know shining past communism bad, and they say like, oh, Fujimori was bad but he did well, he changed the economy for better, and it's like for good, and it's like, yeah, for you for you all who were living in Lima though. Do you know what I mean? So it's like sometimes we think, oh, everyone knows, but not necessarily everyone truly knows. And sometimes you just go into circles. You are just in circles, or just by your classy vibe, you are literally just unaware of other things that happen. And this is just me like trying to explain maybe why. Maybe he is just straight up not talking about it because he doesn't want to. But I can see how it is very possible that he just didn't know about that, you know? And or that that part is just not relevant to his story right now. But yeah. Uh if you haven't listened to Blowback podcast about the Korean War, I highly recommend it. Blowback. Oh. I hate this. Um I'll look it up later. The Merchant Marine, like, why would uh have said he really wants to be a soldier instead of a medic and be a general after the Korean War? Like, I just read that as like it's a war against the communists. I just read that as like he saw it as a career path, you know, but I don't know. Also, yeah, he wanted to be a general before he encountered socialism. Before I even pick up out the details, it's about the way he speaks for me. It's too scripted. Hear about his time in right before or during college was off. Interesting. I don't feel him scripted more than I just feel him Asian. I don't know if this is like weird to say, but like in the when we were watching, like literally in the previous video that we watched, like his friend was talking the same way that he was. So I'm like, he does look like a Fed, but at the same time, it is literally a suit. Like, you know, are all people who dress with suits, who dress formally, Fed? Like, I don't know. Again, I I admit I have a bias, but at the same time, like, I don't know. But then we have the other Black Panthers being leads now, so who could say? I love Cobb sunglasses. Wow, literally reactionary. How dare you? Wow, you're very sus. How dare you like sunglasses? Just kidding. Tourism has a bad knack of making you look like the bodies. Look. Not law. Oh my god.
Everybody's slated to go to the big university. And I don't know whether the legislators and educators
Oh my
that
god.
designed
They were
the master
what? Okay, whatever.
plan had a purely class and race bias. But Merritt College, in a way, was called an end stopper. That everybody now has their own college to go to. The white people got the university. The working class people got the state universities. And the ends got the community colleges. And that was a joke among us. You know, we're at the Stopper School.
Among us.
Now, here is what's significant that I would like to comment on. Merritt College at that time was also known as the Little Harvard of the East Bay. Merritt College transferred more students to the University of California than any other community college in Northern California. One had to do with proximity. Another reason was the quality of its faculty. Having been a lifelong educator, it seems axiomatic to me that buildings alone don't make a fine institution. It's the faculty. And I'm somewhat biased, having been a faculty member for 30 years. But if you look at, and I'm sorry that Norbert isn't here, if you look at the faculty of Merritt College at the time in the 50s and 60s, it was an outstanding faculty. I sort of studied it when I first got here because I wondered, you know, I went to Berkeley High. I had some good teachers there. They gave me a good foundation, and had I continued at McClymonds, I probably would have ended up in prison. But Berkeley High sort of stimulated my intellectual growth, which I then sort of picked up when I hit Merritt.
We think that this education in the country, the strategy.
There was a lot of interchange, cross-cultural learning. I learned more about black nationalism and taught as much as I could to Bobby about Marxism from where I was coming. And then Bobby invited me to a black nationalist conference in San Francisco in the summer of 1966. I was the only non-black there, but he got me in to talk about concentration camps and anti-war stuff, because there was, Ernie Allen was fighting the draft at the time, and there was a Free Ernie Allen committee, and being ex-military, I could give a lecture on the military. Then we met Stokely Carmichael, and because he showed up at this conference and talked about black power. Huey and Bobby were enthralled with that. By October of '66, that winter, they came up with the idea of the Black Panther Party. They ran it by me. I said, it sounds okay to me. The Maoist twist, I kind of threw that one in. I said, well, so far, the most advanced Marxists I've run across are the Maoists in China. And I think they can be compatible because they're not white. You know? Mao is Chinese, and he's talking to Asia, Africa, and Latin America. He just issued a speech in a declaration in 1963 to speak about the Negro question in the United States and how his party supports the struggle for Negroes to liberate themselves. Well, the civil rights struggle had petered out by '66 because of the death of Martin Luther King and the disillusionment of the civil rights people. I kind of played with civil rights, but could never buy the nonviolence part of it. The only civil rights group I supported was SNCC, and that's, I must have had good political.
I mean, to be fair, at the time, he wasn't going by that name, so they are probably just used to his previous name, but at the same time, yes, you know, like, wouldn't you, of all people, be aware of why his name changed? But also, didn't Kwame literally move? I guess he went back to the States. But yeah, I don't know.
Political instincts, because Stokely and H. Rapp took over SNCC from James Foreman in '65. At the same time, Robert F.
Yeah,
Lee,
he moved to Ghana, and then he changed his name in Ghana. You know, like, and I don't know how many years after that he went back to the States. So, like, again, I'm just like trying to see the whole picture, because, like, you know, sometimes we think that things just happen right after the other, and it's like, oh, how could you know? But it's like, we're seeing it from the future when we know all the facts, and it's like, well, at the time you are living in your world, in your bubble, right? So it's like they cannot really know everything that's going on. But, you know, that's just me trying to be materialist about it.
Williams of the NAACP in Monroe County, North Carolina, had armed his group and were fighting the Klan, similar to that of the Deacons for Justice in Bogalusa, Louisiana. They were fighting the Klan. And it became obvious that self-defense would be the best way to counteract the racist things that were going on. This is preaching and nonviolent stuff. Turning the other cheek ain't gonna work. When Bobby and Huey came out with their 10-point program, they ran it by me. I said, it looked good. And so I signed off on it. And then Huey said, we want you to join, Richard. I said, say what? Yeah. I said, I know you two are crazy, you know, but are you guys colorblind? You know, I'm not black. That's when Huey came back with one of the most significant statements he's ever made that I remember. He said, I know you're not black, Richard, but I'm asking you to join because the struggle for freedom, justice, and equality transcends racial and ethnic barriers. I said, oh, heck, yeah, he's right there if you look at it from that perspective. So I said, count me in on it. That's when I was appointed branch captain of the Berkeley chapter. And then we embarked on the shotgun patrols because as we distributed the 10-point program through the community, we weren't just a bunch of talkers. We said, look, this is a 10-point program. Now, includes decent housing, good education.
I want to know where he got the guns. Like, that is going to be the make or break point for me. I want to know where he got the weapons.
Medical facilities, etc. And what do the people in the community think is the most important? They said police brutality. And that was a sensitive, had been a sensitive issue in the city of Oakland. Because when I was growing up in West Oakland in 1945-46, the Oakland Police Department was put under receivership by the State Attorney General's Office for Corruption and Brutality. And so I was a witness to all of the malfeasance of the Oakland Police Department, and I could understand why the people in the community were so hostile about this issue, so sensitive. So we took over a
weird wordage, you know, like, yeah, they would be sensitive if they were being, you know, killed, you know, but whatever.
A program
it's given psyop
that started in Los Angeles by a group called CAPS, Community Action Patrol, that used to go around or started going around photographing and tape recording police encounters in the community. They got their asses kicked. Their cameras were busted up, their tape recorders were confiscated. The reason for that is there was no backup. We did the very same thing, but we had backup because we were armed. We had shotguns, rifles, pistols. Yeah, you could try and take our cameras and tape recorders. We'll blow your heads off. Private property, don't mess with it. Plus, Huey, being so well-versed in the nuances of the law, could get right there on the street and tell the cops exactly what we were doing. According to Penal Code Section 28 and 39-A, whatever, we have a right.
He's just going to skip over that, right? Oh, he's skipping over that.
And as long as we stand 20 feet away, we're not obstructing, we're not doing anything.
And
according
part,
to the
right?
other penal code, whatever
There's
it
a
is,
third fucking part. I fucking hate you, Bolden.
The right to carry these guns with bullets in the chamber. Man, you don't go run around carrying weapons with no ammunition in it. Now, because I'd been in the military and I'd been a sort of amateur gun collector, I didn't have an arsenal. An arsenal is 10 weapons of any one make or caliber. I didn't have an arsenal. An arsenal is 10 weapons of any amateur gun collector.
Okay. I don't know if he says I did have an arsenal or I didn't.
I didn't have an arsenal. An arsenal is 10 weapons of any one make or caliber. I had a little collection, but they all happen to be military weapons, because military weapons are simple. That's why they're military. You can take a peasant or a worker and give him.
He was collecting them. Yeah, he didn't have an arsenal. He had a collection. Got it. Because I was like, because sometimes the closed caption, when you see that the words are being generated,
military weapons are simple.
That means that the closed captions are being like. When you see that the words are appearing, that means that the closed captions are being generated based on what YouTube is listening to it, you know? so it's not like 100% accurate. So I wanted to listen to it like well, but also the complete version without the caption, so I don't, so we don't like listen something that we're seeing. But yeah, he was how convenient. Oh my god, he was explaining why his arsenal wasn't
That's why
legal.
any
No, because like having an arsenal is illegal, but because he didn't have like the 10 of the same weapon, it wasn't illegal.
one make or caliber. I had a little collection, but they all happen to be military weapons because military weapons are simple. That's why they're military. You can take a peasant or a worker and give them an AK-47, you know, it's simply made, very sturdy, you know, simple to assemble, disassemble, whatever. Anyway, my collection included Army 45s, M1 carbines, your standard 12-gauge shotguns, and Bobby and Huey knew I had a little stash of, I didn't have that many, but enough to arm the first half dozen or so who joined the party. And then I found one new member, young thug right off the streets out of Riley's Pool Hall. I could show him one time how to assemble and disassemble a weapon, and he could do it blindfolded. So he then became our armorer. You know, that.
Okay. YouTube is not that girl with her captions. Oh my god. Yes, but it's a giant number of weapons. You can have up to 10 of each. Well, that's 6. Yeah. So where did he have the guns from? He just had them. Kane Fraggin. 6 guns isn't that? I mean, okay. He said he had multiple of many, so he probably I at first thought he had 9 of each. You know, like one less, but he probably had like a couple of each. You know. But at the same time, like, okay, this is me filling the gap. So, you know, take it or leave it, take it with a grain of salt. Like, he said that, like, in the previous video, we listened about, we heard that he was interested in weaponry, in arms, as a child. So, like, since listening to that, and now him talking about like he wanted to be a military, like I don't think it's like too much of a leap to think that, you know, maybe he liked weapons, and so with the money he had at the time he would just buy them, you know. Like, again, this is me just filling out some gaps that he has not yet mentioned, or he might not mention, you know. But like, that's like my logic going into this. Like, it probably doesn't make sense to you, it might make sense to you, you know, but like that's what I will take it as, you know. Like, it's not an outlandish idea that he liked weapons, he was in the military, he learned about weapons. Back then things were cheaper. You know, like, but yeah.
That's what education's all about. You don't know armor, a weapon, and he could do it blindfolded. So he then became our armorer. You know, that's what education's all about. You don't know where potential is. And there I had a group of new members, and I'd say, you know, who thinks they know something? You know, show me. Well, you're good. You're getting A plus for this. Yeah, demonstrate. And then there's the political part. Each one teach one. Okay, so I knew something. I just passed it on to the next one who was brighter.
I mean, he wasn't a medic. He was a medic for 1 year. And he was in the military for 8. So like 7 out of the 8 years he wasn't a medic. Do you know what I mean? So like, I don't know.
To be able to pass it on to the next one. So because of our shotgun patrols, that's what we call them, when the Denzel Dow was killed in North Richmond, and his mother wanted to speak in a Parchin.
Yes. Okay, I remember he said 1 year he was a medic, and then he did something, and then reserves, but I'm not sure.
North Richmond, and the police wouldn't give her a permit. She came to us and said, we heard that you protect the community against the police. Would you protect us? We said we would. Now History Tech gave her a permit, and his mother wanted to speak in a park in North Richmond, and the police wouldn't give her a permit. She came to us and said, we heard that you protect the community against the police. Would you protect us? We said we would. Now, historically, North Richmond, West Oakland have fought each other. Even the whites who used to live there before the war in both West Oakland and Richmond used to go to it. Today, Orientals, or Asian Americans, the Mien population in East Oakland and the ones in Richmond are killing each other. I've been passing the word out, man, this is double genocide. You know, there are too many Miens from Southeast Asia. What are you guys doing killing each other over turf issues? Now, during the period the Black Panther Party was active in Oakland, the juvenile crime rate actually went.
Okay, like, also, disclaimer, like, this is 2008. So, like, I don't know, I feel like the language police, SJWs, weren't, like, such a big thing back then. So, well, I can understand, like, why, like, his language hasn't changed as much, you know, but yeah, I don't know.
Down. I kept track of crime statistics in Oakland because I had to know the Oakland Police Department and all that stuff. That was part of my job as field marshal. And I had seen where the crime statistics for homicides, robberies, armed robberies actually went down during that period. Now, why? Why? Because these young thugs that were on the streets. I mean, I wasn't that far removed, nor was Huey from that grouping. Because at one point, Huey and I entertained ideas of becoming pimps because one of our role models was one of the most notorious pimps in Oakland. He was a bad dude. He's still around, not in town. Too many people gunning for him now. But when you give hope and you give another...
It was recorded. It says we interviewed Richard Aoki in 2008 for a documentary, and it was published on 2012. So, yeah.
Alternative to people that don't have that hope, don't have that alternative.
Okay, randomly, let's just read this comment. Listen to this man as he describes meeting these original Panthers. They were all highly intelligent. They were college students studying basically their predetermined fate without any inclinations of their true destiny. But I'm rather enjoying understanding how borderline genius these men were. Military backgrounds, or the life avenues set their path. No. Giga Hip, how fucking dare you? Bye. Why does he wear shades throughout the interview in part 1 and part 2? The eyes are the windows of the soul. Oh my god. Unfortunate but true. Oh my god. Bye. I'm not reading this anymore. How dare you comment? Never read the comments. Rank Field Marshal required him to know the police. Is that Black Panther's rank or something? I'm not sure.
Still around, not in town. Too many people gunning for him now. But when you give hope,
go to the bottom. I don't think I can. Oh, there are only 50 comments. Right. Oh my god. Bye. Wonder how much he was getting paid by the FBI. Oh my god. Literally no one is trusting him. No. Does anyone know the music track? Oh my god. We stand Barry. Quit his union job to get lower paying job just to be at merit. Only an agent would do this. What type of man in that time would take a lower paying job and say my wife could take care of us with her office job bullshit lies, just not tell the real reason why he was at merit? I hate these comments. I am too pure.
Another alternative to people.
I trust him. Oh, but like literally, okay. Why would he lie in the interview though? Like in the interview from the last video, like You know, like again, if he's an FBI informant, oh, fuck me, you know. But also,
people that
no,
don't
he did
have
nothing
that,
wrong.
you don't have that alternative, you can produce positive results. And what happened is that these young thugs that have been around shooting each other up, suddenly East Oakland, West Oakland became friends because historically they've been at each other's throats. Once we did the North Richmond,
Like, okay, another thing that makes me like not sus of him is like contrasting this interview. How dare you, Tony? Contrasting this interview with the interviews from the FBI informant that killed Fred Hampton. And like, I don't know. Whatever. Shut up. I hate you, Chad.
Paid where 30 of us held off 300 cops.
I'm never
including
streaming again.
2 helicopters. We became heroes in North Richmond. The whole Dow family,
Like
there were 7
Obama
brothers in the
does.
Dow family, joined the party.
Okay, there was a time where I thought thugs was a slur. And then I learned it is not. So yeah. Apart from that, it is weird because like he was in internment camps, but at the same time he was like kind of upper class. So that's why I'm like, it makes sense that he would say the things that he's saying, how he's saying them. And yeah. To be fair, like, oh well, like on the other hand, like the weapons story, like kind of solidified the fact that I don't think he's an FBI informant, because that was like the peak of what I wanted to know. And like apparently he already had. I wish he could have gotten more into detail about them, you know, like were you actually buying them, you know? But yeah, it's not exactly a slur, but there is a pretty clear tendency for it to get used in racialized context, if you know what I mean. Yeah, interesting. I mean, yeah. Got it.
Party established the Richmond branch of the Black Panther Party. So that's an example of where walking the walk after doing the talk paid dividends. And for a while, the tensions in between the police and the community kind of simmered
Or
until
being
the
in a gang, honestly, yeah.
incident with Huey, where he had to defend himself and was being railroaded to prison, erupted, which then became a national.
Honestly, I should have been making this interview. Okay, but like, where did you get the guns though? You know what I mean? But yeah. Hi, Obama Bin Laden. Welcome. How dare you, Tony? Oh my god. Literally innocent until proven otherwise. Thank you. Bye. Yes. It's called Richard Aoki. He was the person who armed the Black Panthers. And we're watching this interview with him, and we're discerning whether he was an FBI agent or not. I am on the side that he wasn't. My entire chat is on the side of I hate happiness, so he was a FBI informant. But yeah. Come here with us and see this story devolve.
And even international struggle. Up to that point, we were dealing with issues on a
Maybe
criminal.
he's a double agent. He might be a double. Honestly, fine. I'll give you that. He was a double agent. My C-SPAN moments. Oh my god. When did you make a mother? Oh yeah, I made you yesterday because I didn't have VIP badges, and I was like, I'm just going to give it and make Dorian a mod. So yeah.
Basis, if you want to look at it that way. But once the issue came up concretely in Huey's case, it became a political issue, and much of the credit for that should go to Eldridge Cleaver, because he recognized from the beginning that what happened.
Stephen pretty much blocked me from calling them on my personal phone. Oh my god, why? Also, do you have clips of you? Oh my god. Send us the links.
In Oakland was really a political act, and that it should be treated as such, and the defense of Huey should be done on a political level. And I bought into that because I was right there and said, well, this is what we're going to have to do. And the struggle to save Huey then saw a tremendous increase in the size of the party, to the extent that at one point the party had 5,000 members in 43 branches throughout the country and an international office in Algiers. I was the first minister of education, not in the formal sense. It was more restricted.
I don't like using tags, or who doesn't like using tags? What tags? Don't I have tags? Oh, no, they are there. I'm so confused.
To political education, and the fact that I was also a student at Berkeley. There were, I believe, 4 ministers of education. George Murray, who was in the Black Panther Party and was involved in the San Francisco state strike, became the second one. The third one was Messiah Hewitt, who died. And then the fourth and final one was Erica Huggins. I think you interviewed her. But my role as Minister of Information was to help set up the internal education classes, where we concentrated on the writings of relevant African-American revolutionaries.
He infiltrated the entirety of the Black Panther Party and he was the lack of cultural revolution in the USSR, but in the Black Panther Party. Oh my god. He was the CIA that infiltrated the education system of the USSR, but in the Black Panther Party.
And the first primer we used was the autobiography of Malcolm X, because of the fact.
See how he's deviating the education system of the Black Panther Party, FBI.
That it was so easy to read. The narrative part of his book is just fantastic. You can just go right through it. The other works that were studied were more advanced, such as Frantz Fanon's Wretched of the Earth, and then more obscure black nationalist type writings and Marxist stuff that was somewhat simplified, and then going into the Red Book. The Red Book was a natural for studying because of the fact that it was so concise and it was so portable and so easily recognizable. And it's true that there were financial aspects regarding the Red Book because it was so novel that radicals at Berkeley, especially the New Left, were hungry for that.
Also, I don't trust any of the comments because most of the comments I bet are just white people. So they're all just being racist.
Type of enlightenment. And I didn't view it as much for the monetary.
Today I quoted Nyerere and she's foreign policy, but I mentioned the USSR and Cuba having histories of paid family leave better than the US yesterday. Sispan would hang up on me and leave my phone on busy when I called. Where are the clips though? I need the clips. The wiki says he was an informant. Never trust Wikipedia. The New Left who dumped Stalin were hungry for Mao. Apparently.
The end of it. Were hungry for that regarding the Red Book because it was so novel that radicals at Berkeley, especially the New Left, were hungry for that type of enlightenment. And I didn't view it as much for the monetary end of
No,
it.
but like, aren't there like don't you have the links of the daily of the entire stream? Like, can you just like I don't know what's the website for that. I'm not a lib. I don't know those websites.
That
did I just call Marcus a lib? It's up to interpretation.
Radicals at Berkeley, especially the New Left, were hungry for that type of enlightenment. And I didn't view it as much for the monetary end of it as for the political lessons to be drawn from.
No, but Marcus watches the morning calls in the morning. And I'm like, why? But also, they are fun. I'm not at solving Aoki, still on the fence, but seriously, never trust the wiki when it comes to radicals. Yeah.
That particular work.
That was part 2 of our interview with Richard Aoki from 2008.
I hate you, Jeffrey. I hate you. Literally, fight me on Minecraft. Also, I've been streaming for 5 hours. Ungrateful chatters. It's okay. No, thank you for being here. Jeffrey bringing you the truth. Oh my god, how dare you? I mean, literally. He's bringing us the reality that Richard Aoki was a committed revolutionary, and that's the end of it. Thank you very much. 53 comments. A revolution of the mind can often occur when somebody is ready for it and they are thirsty for the knowledge. Oh my god, I hate you, person with a Korean name. Seasoned fried chicken. Oh my god, we stand. I hate you, seasoned fried chicken. Okay, Jeffrey bringing you the truth says the way I beat you in Roblox Turtle Drum Islands. Oh my god, I would win. Wait till you find out there's a part 4. Shut up. No, I literally cannot handle. What's his name?
In 2000, Strawberry was a revolution. TV produced an award.
I cannot handle another Jeffrey intro. So one final Paul fed or not. I am a believer that he's not a fed. I am a believer. Also, fuck Justin Bieber. Also, if you listen to Justin Bieber's music, you're literally directly funding the Yemenian genocide. Just saying. So maybe you shouldn't ever listen to that piece of shit. Just saying. But yeah. People's Queen, much like Hillary Duff. Oh my god. Also, side note, yes, if you listen to Ariana Grande, you are also contributing to the Yemenian genocide, but we make exceptions for Queen Ariana, and Justin Bieber is a piece of shit, so yeah. Forgot there's another part. I hate you. The way they said he laid out his military uniform alone, the Black Panther uniform, is effing with me. Oh my god. They actually said that purposefully to fuck with your mind. I mean, to be fair, me coming with facts and logic. To be fair, when you are in the military, you are literally trained to put your uniform to like keep it clean, and you're like literally brainwashed into like your military uniform reflects your life. And so yeah, You know? I don't know. When you say that's so gay, do you realize that what you say? Knock it off. I know that quote. I don't know where it's from. I forgot, but I know that quote. No, when you are in the military, you know, so I can only think that he held like his his position in the military in the same standard as his position in the Black Panthers. What does that even say? Like, really, what does that even say? A 2000s PSA from Hilary Duff. She was at Stonewall. Why can I picture it so clearly, but at the same time, I have no idea what I'm thinking about? Okay, let's go back. Also, thank you for following Swedish Rick. Welcome.
Award-winning documentary on the origins of the Black.
It's late over here in Sweden. I know, isn't it like 4 a.m. or something?
Black Panther Party at Merritt.
Or 6? Five. I was literally
College.
right there.
As part of the documentary, we interviewed Richard Aoki, who
No, I'm in Peru. It's in the description.
was active with the Panthers at their formation. He later became an administrator, counselor, and teacher at the Peralta Community College District. Now, in light of the allegations that he may have worked with the FBI, we have decided to air Peralta TV's entire interview with Richard Aoki. Was Richard Aoki an FBI informer, as recent allegations suggest, or was he a committed revolutionary? And now, part 3 of our exclusive interview with Richard Aoki. Here he describes his...
This better fucking be the last fucking part, or Elsa. Or Elsa from Frozen. Bolden, I am literally the motherfuckers. Part 1, part 2, part 3. Okay, it's the last part so far, allegedly.
His role in the Panthers' action at the California State Capitol.
On stream tomorrow? No, I need to watch this motherfucker.
When the idea for that came up, I was in on the planning of that, and if you notice that Huey and I weren't up there. And the reason for that is, in the British military system, they usually have the commanding officer and the executive officer. If they go into battle, they go in a column. One officer is at front and one's at the back. If they go in a line, one is at one end and one's the other end. That is so that if it really gets heavy, they won't lose both officers at the same time. So it was kind of like a...
I literally don't care anymore. I'm putting it 1.5. I was trying to avoid this, but I don't care. I just want this to end. I just need to know. I need him to give me something that will just destroy everything. Like, destroy all the possibilities that he was a Black Panther for real, or that he was an FBI agent for real.
Drawing of the lot, who's going up there. We had 2 co-founders. We had Bobby and Huey. So Bobby says, I'll go up there, and Huey says, I'll do the backup. And there were other branch captains, you know, and there was Mark Comfort out of East Oakland. I felt comfortable, and Mark wants to go up there. He's big, he's got his stuff, and I'm branch captain too, but I'll stay with Huey. So when they got busted up there, it was good that Huey and I were down here. We were able to get them out. We didn't lose everybody. One of the things was if it got as far as a shootout, we wouldn't have lost all the officers. I personally feel that it was a positive political act, that regardless of whether the Mulford Act was passed. It did get attention, not only nationally, but internationally, that there were freedom fighters in this country that were willing to go to the mat on something like that, because up to that point, if you recall, armed self-defense resistance was not the norm as far as...
Yes, I'm doing well. I'm just losing my mind because my chat is horrible and they don't believe in revolutionaries being committed to the revolution, and they are calling him an FBI informant, even though that's literally what we are here to do, to discern whether or not he was. But I believe in happiness. I believe in love, in life after love, or whatever Cher said. Meanwhile, chat just hates happiness. Yeah. But welcome. It's been a while. I hope you're doing okay. I'm watching a girl set a world record by extinguishing candles by whipping her ponytail. Oh my god. I don't believe in obs. Oh my god. Where's here about OPSEC? Oh my god. Share reference, Holly. Are you as old as me? No, I'm just queer. But also, I learned like a couple of days ago that Cher was like problematic. I'm not going to get into this.
The liberation struggle was concerned. So when that event hit, and I am aware of the negative publicity and the outcome of it, it was still something that had to be done historically. Don't forget, I majored in social welfare when I was at Berkeley for my graduate work. I did that for...
Okay. Interesting that he's just mentioning this right now randomly. But also, we stand. Do you know what I mean? So, let's keep this debate. This will end art versus artist. For real, hope you're doing well. Oh, thank you. I hope you're doing well too, though. Haven't seen you in a while.
For several reasons. Ron Dellums had been through that school about 4 years prior, and Melvin Newton had been through that school about 2 years prior to my getting my bachelor's degree in sociology. And I wondered what I was going to do when I grew up. So I looked at graduate school there, and the party was getting ready to really fully implement the survival program, starting with the Breakfast of Children program. And
was this when going to Berkeley was free? I think so. I don't know. Oh my god, what happened to your comment, Tony? I have no idea.
It was thought it'd be a good idea if I go into social work and take over the survival programs once I got my degree, because they had a new major up there, community organization and public administration, and I qualified and I got in. And I was in the middle of that when things sort of got out of hand at Berkeley, and the Third World Liberation Strike came along, and I was appointed Minister of Defense for the group there because of my background, and we were able to effectively establish an ethnic studies department up there as a result of it. Now, as a funny footnote,
okay, wow, they really had it good. Like, literally the best institutions of the country for fucking free.
I was elected president of the social welfare students while I was sitting in the Berkeley City Jail.
I mean, also you had to apply and get in, right? But still.
Because my fellow students thought it would enhance my chances of acquittal at a trial if I was going up there representing all the students in the School of Social Work, you know. And anybody that knew me as a youngster would have been, or was astounded that I was in social work graduate school at Berkeley, because that would have been their last guess about where do you think Richard's going to school and going to be when he grows up? Social work? You must be kidding. Why? And as you may know, historically, the survival programs did enhance the political effectiveness of the Black Panther Party. I'm trying to think of Ruth Jones, who joined the party when she was 68 or so, because of the survival programs and the assistance we were bringing to the community. In other words, up to About that point, many people in the community weren't totally convinced that we were nothing more than thugs and gangsters. And I have to again reiterate that the first wave of recruits to the Black Panther Party came off the streets. They came out of the bars and the pool halls and places like that. It's the wretched of the earth. And it wasn't until the survival programs got off the ground, feeding the children, helping senior citizens, providing medical services, visits to the prisons for the incarcerated inmates, that the community then began to take the Black Panther Party more seriously and as a legitimate institution and organization. Because I remember the image of the party initially was that of gun-toting militants who were nothing better than gangsters. But the survival programs convinced the community that we were on the level, and that was due to the political correctness of our position. Serve the people is a direct quotation from Chairman Mao. The Communist Revolution in China, the underpinnings of that was to serve the people, and that came out of also the Little Red Book and studies of what happened in China and success.
We have a little stand-in of Chairman Mao, and we stand, and we should recognize that. Fucking happiness haters.
Successful revolutions that were taking place in the rest of the world, Asia, Africa, and Latin America, that these were struggles for the people. Now in the United States, they have this cockamamie thing of for and by with the people. This was the real deal of the times. Now, as you may be aware, the Breakfast with Children program has been co-opted by...
Oh, that's what he's supposed to say. Shut up. How dare you? Just say you hate happiness.
The federal government, they now give free lunches out to all the little children out there that qualify for it. But it really was a result of the Black Panther Party's pioneer effort to address the serious social problem. There was a community school in East Oakland that was established to address the limitations or the lack of real education in the Oakland school system. Having been a product of it myself, I can attest that there was a need for the community school founded by the party out there in East Oakland. We need them here today, considering the state of the Oakland school district as it is now. It's in state receivership. Give me a break. What we attempted to do was to take those regular organizations and provide alternative or parallel institutions for them. Like when I became a social welfare student up there, it wasn't with the idea of becoming a career social worker to go to work in the bureaucracies of the social work world, and that's what 90% of the students, my fellow students, were doing. That was their thing. Now, the interesting thing is that if you look at the class background of my fellow students, I was an oddball. I came off the streets of West Oakland, and here I was in a school with graduates of Bryn Mawr, Swarthmore, Radcliffe, Bennington, the really daughters of the wealthy. That's what threw me off up there while I was in the school from a social standpoint. Then we go into the politics of it, of where we were coming from. That's a whole different story. I value formal education very highly for a number of reasons. Number one, my culture, Asian, does value formal education, but not for the same reasons that a lot of people value education to get the material stuff, but it's more for an expanding of the mind, holding of being able to critically analyze what the heck's going on. And as I said earlier, I push education harder than those drug dealers push their dope there on the streets of East 14th and the pimps pushing their hoes down there on San Pablo Avenue. But there's also informal education, and that's the education you get from life itself and the lessons that can teach one. I'm fortunate in that I've had good education throughout my life. That I did go to a ghetto junior high school, but I went to a fine high school. I went to a fine community college, and I ended up going to a fine university. So I do encourage young people to bear down on their formal education, get their bourgeois credentials, but at the same time, don't forget where you came from. And one of the reasons why I got involved in the ethnic studies business, which launched my teaching career, was because...
Honestly, him saying, get those bourgeois credentials, like, I don't even know what to make of that, because it's like, true though. I don't know.
I wanted to
Just
reduce
get
the domestic,
capital.
but at the same time, don't forget where you came from. And one of the reasons why I got involved in the ethnic studies business, which launched my teaching career, was because I wanted to reduce the domestic brain drain. When I was at Berkeley, I ran into a lot of foreign students from Asia, Africa, and Latin America who were coming to this country to get an education and not going back home to their own country. In the 60s, there were more Iranian doctors in New York City than there were in all of Iran, and that's kind of sad. And when I met students from parts of Asia and Africa, many of them couldn't go back home because of the political situations in the country. I do know of a few that did return home to conduct the struggle.
Yeah.
Once they got their degrees here, but they were rare. A lot of them decided to take advantage of being in.
He didn't say it in that way. Oh my god.
America with its great, material wealth. But there's more to life than material wealth. Getting back to domestic brain drain, we could see where the talented tenth of the third world communities in the United States were going to the universities and getting their degrees and getting their jobs, getting married, and then moving out to the suburbs. Meanwhile, the conditions in the ghettos and the barrios and the Chinatowns were awesome. They needed doctors, they needed skilled professionals to help the people in the community. And the analogy of the third world and the United States and the oppressed communities here within the United States and what effect it was having.
We think that this educational factor too.
Now they just there's this United Negro College Fund saying about a mind's a terrible thing to waste. There's potential in the ghettos and barrios and Chinatown. They just need the opportunity to be able to utilize the brain power there. I did study Du Bois and his notion of the talented ten.
It's like so weird how he refers to certain things, but also has the analysis. And again, I go back to, that's what, that's how these places were referred to back then. But also, there is a sense of otherness in his voice that I cannot, shake off, And it's like... You're truly making all the girlies out here trying to support you very difficult. You are really making it difficult for us to support you. Maybe it's just a progression to live. That is true, because, he's in academia, so, it is to expect.
But he's somewhat limited in one respect. He sort of just focuses on the bourgeoisie part of the community. And I'm more interested in the bottom part of the community. And that's why I decided to spend my life in the community college.
Also, I feel like he hasn't said the word proletariat in the entire interview so far, and I'm like, not that it matters, but it's, I don't know, it's something, it just happened, I just happened to thought about right now.
Arena rather than staying at Berkeley.
This was right when Obama was elected. It was all about getting education. Interesting. Yes? Yeah. It was 2008. But, I don't know what month, but also does it matter? Because, the Obama campaign was, going on since before this, so... Take his finance class at Peralta College, then meet that white guy who was talking. Oh my god.
I could have stayed at Berkeley, gone on to get my doctorate and become a professor up there. But Dr. Norval Smith gave me the opportunity to come home and share what I had picked up there at the university as a result of my formal education. And I hope I've done well. Dr. Smith passed away about 3 or 4 years ago. An outstanding educator, especially when he hired me. I mean, he was taking a chance. There was opposition at the college at the time of my appointment. I remember the hassles I had. The first class I taught, I had 3 undercover police in it, 1 from Oakland, 1 from Berkeley, 1 from Richmond. At the same time, I had members of the Huacheng Chinese youth gang in the class, and at one point during the term, the 3 representatives of the state and the 3 or 4 Huachengs were on either side of the room. The rest of the students were in the middle wondering what the shit's going to happen now. And I told everybody there that don't start nothing in my class. I'm going to get blamed for it because as the instructor, I'm supposed to be in charge. If you're going to shoot it out with one another, do it across the street off of college property. Plus college property, we can't have violence according to the policies and regulations, and I don't want to get hurt. And I think I was packing too at the time. I was saying, I don't need this. Yes, the dean came over and
he was packing. I'm sorry.
Later apologized because he realized he had a number of undercover people in classes, and especially mine, because coming from Berkeley, I had that reputation of being not only a Black Panther, but a Maoist as well. So that was a little uncomfortable. However, I managed to adjust and become a full-time employee. It took me 3 years to get my credentials, but I do have lifetime teaching in 6 subject matter areas, a counseling credential, and an administrator's credential, and I've done all 3 during the 25 to 30 years I've been with the Peralta District, and I hope I've helped hundreds of students navigate their way through the system, because I wasn't able to bring the revolution about as far as the actual thing, but a revolution of the mind can often occur when somebody's ready for it and they're thirsty for the knowledge.
Okay.
And
I get wolf vibes. If you know, you know. If you don't, you don't. But like, go straight out across the street. I mean, okay, like I get it, but at the same time, like, if you're a teacher and you have like 2 sides about to shoot it out, even if you are, yeah, but like Richard Wolf, not like an actual wolf. If they're going to shoot it out, even if you are on the side of one side, I feel like you either get killed in that moment or tell them both to get out. You know, like I personally don't know what else to, like, I imagine being in his position and I wouldn't know what else to say. You know, like, even if I have like my allegiance to one side, that is the revolutionary one, I'm like, one is a Fed. That's the thing. I feel like, okay, I feel like he wasn't an FBI informant. Hopefully. But I do think that, like, I see him probably informing the FBI informant without him knowing. Do you know? Also, release the files. I mean, they're they're probably released already.
Right. Formal education is.
Also, will this story change in the last 9 minutes of this interview? We will never know unless you stay here on that stream.
One of the ways to start giving one the discipline and the tools, analytical tools, to ferret out what is important and what isn't important and move from there. And I will say without, with full commitment, that it was the greatest revolutionary party in the history of the United States. You can't name a group or an organization that has done more.
Okay.
And
I'm
you
going
check that,
to-
it would.
We're going to go back and we're going to listen at every word he says.
And I will say without with full commitment that it was the greatest revolutionary party in the history of the United States. You can't name a group or an organization that has done more and been more effective. Number one, I'll stack it up against Marcus Garvey's Back to Africa movement, Booker T. Washington's, Get a Trade movement, even Du Bois's Talented Tenth thrust in the NAACP. You really can't name any other African American group that has done so much. Now, even today, you find references to the Black Panther Party in some of the most surprising places. I first saw Forrest Gump some years ago when it first came out and was tickled pink at how they were able to integrate the Black Panther Party into that movie. Getting back to the Breakfast for Children program, if it had not been for that, you wouldn't have the government-free lunch programs today.
I cannot watch it.
I could go on and on into other sectors of society demonstrating the impact of the Black Panther Party. I think the most important lesson to come out of the Black Panther Party movement was really the power of the people. It was people generated. There was no big time money, nobody paying $150,000 for a candidate's clothes. You know what I'm saying? It was people power. It was people like you and I getting out there
Stop talking.
saying, we've had enough of this shit and there's got to be a change. And I'm not talking about any cosmetic change like putting lipstick on a pig. I'm talking about fundamental change of material and of mindset. You don't see people going back, or there are some people, you don't see people going back to the old days of the banjo strumming, watermelon eating, tap dancing, plantation stuff. Nobody wants to hear that stuff no more. We now have to...
I am literally crying because don't talk to me about the people. Don't talk to me about the people.
Think in terms of the future and the type of society we want. A type of society...
But I'm also laughing because I'm still there is a possibility that he is an FBI and I'm just falling for his acting. And I'm just and I'm just a clown, I understand that there is this possibility, but at the same time, I cannot not want to take him seriously, just there is what he's saying right now, it is true, the Black Panthers were trying to give power to the people, and it was people power what maintained the organization. And
production,
I don't know.
We now have to think in terms of the future and the type of society we want. A type of society where production is for need and not for greed, and the greed of Wall Street that we are experiencing now, where we have people's rights before property rights. That should be the significance of building a new society. And that's kind of a vision that was implicit in what we were looking at. We were looking at a better world free of racism, discrimination, oppression, exploitation. I mean, if that isn't something to marvel at. And when you think about it, the party only had about 5,000 members at its height, and yet lost the best of the best of the group. And I have to include people like Bunchy Carter, John Huggins, Fred Hampton, Mark Clark, Little Bobby Hutton, and there are still others in prison, Rochelle McGee. The good news is Geronimo Pratt's been out now for a couple of years, and it was obvious he was framed. Otherwise, why would the state of California give him $3.2 million for the 28 years he spent in prison?
Oh my
If that
God.
doesn't demonstrate state culpability, I don't know what does. So the Black Panther Party has made its mark on American history, and it's made a positive mark on American history.
I hate you all. How
Future
dare you not believe
generations will probably look back and say, that was a great group. And I'm talking about maybe over the next 100 years. It's still too early to make positive statements in reference to history. But if we look at U.S. history, the abolitionists during their time, they were considered crazy, but people like John Brown, Frederick Douglass are now revered as heroes, and they were not nonviolent.
Wait, did
men.
he say Rachel McGee, or was he talking about another person?
Ronald Pratt's been out now
No, he's talking about Geronimo Pratt.
for a couple of years. California, and I'm talking about maybe time that Brown died for the cause. Not now revered as during their time, they were considered crazy, but people like John Brown.
Or are you talking about how he's still in prison?
Frederick Douglass are now revered as heroes, and they were not nonviolent men. John Brown died for the cause. It's interesting to note that W.E. Du Bois wrote 43 books, and only one book did he write about an individual, and that individual was not black, he was white. That was John Brown. And why? Because John Brown gave his life for the cause. Not only his life, but several of his children died in attempting to liberate the slaves. I am most proud of the fact that when the call was given, I stepped forward, and I kind of chalk it up to the saying that a man's got to do what a man's got to do, and I realized that has sexist implications. But I grew.
Oh my God! Don't! He's winning me over with his feminist analysis.
Grew up in a period where that was a very popular saying that a man's got to do what a man's got to do. I have to be candid. I was engaged to be married at the time of the beginning of all this, and I had a very difficult choice to make within the first month of the party. It was either the party or my fiancée. And history noted that I stepped forward and gave up that part. I will say my personal life is something that was severely damaged, but professionally I was much better off for politically going with the party at the time when the party needed me, and in a way I needed the party to get my head together politically, and that's what it did. And I'm proud of the fact that
I
stepped
hate you
forward
all.
when the call was given. Can't ask for
How could you have ever doubted this man?
much more than that. What can I say at this point? I have no regrets, to tell you the truth. It's just the way history moves. Fanon points out that each generation is faced with an awesome task.
Not the
How
final
that
quote.
generation meets the task is the way that generation will be judged. And I'm not only proud for myself, I'm proud for Bobby and Huey and all the others that stepped forward to demand freedom.
I still don't know what happened to Bobby Steele. Is it sus that he mentioned him? Probably. I don't know. Whatever. I hate you all.
Justice and equality for all, not just for black people, for all people, because the liberation.
He is good. He knows how to push all our buttons. Sus. Seriously though, no idea.
People of color
It's
will be
like-
the liberation of all.
That is our interview with
I hate
Richard
you.
Aoki, a longtime
I
Peralta
hate you,
College's
Jeffrey.
faculty
I hate you, Jeffrey.
member, administrator, and counselor. Richard Aoki was active.
I need to know if Jeffrey's alive. Jeffrey Heyman, Executive Peralta TV. Is he still alive though? Is he still alive though? Oh no, he's still alive though. Allegedly. We don't know. Follow him on Twitter. Oh my god, he has a Twitter. We need to. I need to contact him. Oh.
in the formation of the Black Panther Party.
Been reading the comments about Bobby Steele.
This interview was conducted in 2008
Hi,
as part
Brian,
of Peralta
welcome.
TV's documentary, Merritt College, Home of the Black Panthers. Richard Aoki died in 2009. FBI documents obtained under the Freedom of Information Act have been made public by the Center for Investigative Reporting and author Seth Rosenfeld. They indicate that Richard Aoki was an FBI informant from 1961 to 1977. No one at the Peralta Community College District knew about his secret life. And we don't know what he reported to the FBI. That material is still secret. We do know that Richard Aoki influenced hundreds of activists and was a role model for thousands of students. He emphasized the importance of education. This has been a Peralta News Special Report. I'm Jeff Heyman.
I hate everything. I hate everything. I hate chat. I'm literally not streaming ever again. Okay, to be fair, me literally defending him after it has been confirmed that he was an FBI informant. To be fair. What if he was like misleading the FBI though? Bolden, you better be here. I know it's your nap time or whatever. You are probably sleeping. I hate you. I literally hate you. I hate everyone right now. I literally cannot. I just can't. I literally just can't. How are you all doing? It's been a journey. Doesn't mean that I still don't hate most of you. You know? New poll up. Revolutionary. What do you mean, Jeb? Jeb's what? I don't even understand. What do you mean, Jess? Oh my god, we should rate Amaranth. Vote Jeb if he's an informant. Oh, got it. I was like, what do you mean, Jeb? But I love you so. Oh my god, I love you all too. Thank you for being here. It's been truly a mess. No, don't worry. I'm just joking. Don't worry, Dorian. Oh my god, I need to do. I haven't done my dailies. I might. F11. Well. This is. Oh my god. Hi, Boop. Welcome. If there's released FBI documents, have you checked those? Fine. I don't even know how to. I literally just take the word of other people. I don't do my own research, okay? Oh my god, you should do your own research. I don't want to know. Is there like a link here? Quick link. Resources. No. FBI. Twinkle Pro. Release documents. I mean, the thing is like, or no. These are apparently the documents. Thank you, Boop. Unlike other ungrateful chatters. Okay. Aoki was contacted and expressed a willingness to cooperate with the Bureau in any way possible, but he stated that he has had no contact with the, I assume, Black Panthers since leaving Berkeley High. However, stated that if he should contact them in the future, he would notify the San Francisco office. In February 15, 1961, Aoki met a publicly announced function in Berkeley, who in turn invited Aoki to a Black Panther. Oh yeah, they're talking about Huey. Aoki has attended this and submitted a report. In light of this development, Aoki has been designated Huey, I guess, PSI, and of Richard Ford, which he will use in signing reports. I hate you, Boop. One release holding 40,000 more pages. So this was the high school when he was in the gang. No, this was when Aoki, a Korean an Oriental of Korean descent. Oh my god, you were so right all this time, Cinnamon Challenge. I hate you. Residents at 1519 Stewart Street, Berkeley, California, and is currently employed as mail clerk at California State Department of Health. Advised that he was born November 1938. Is described as follows. In view of voluminous information as well as important data furnished by the incoming San Francisco office and designating him a Huey or Black Panther informant or the informant of the guy. This informant is being closely guided and controlled in an effort to advance him in the eyes of the his move to his current address and the fact that informant recently secured an automobile has enhanced his potential for advancement, enabling him to maintain close contact with. This move has also placed the informant in more difficult financial straits, in that he was formerly residing with his mother. When contacted in 1977, this is way after. Source advised that he desired to discontinue seeking information for the FBI because he believed that this was inconsistent with his present career and objectives as a student counselor and instructor at a junior college in Oakland, California. So it's not saying, I think, yeah, oh my god, I don't know how you did that, Boop, but I think this was the file that was released that proved that he was an FBI informant, but we don't really know what he was telling the FBI. But also, like, I don't know. Was he a double agent? I mean, that's another thing, you know. When he was in high school, no. Sorry if this isn't consistent with your values. Okay, we're going to fucking kill you. What do you say to that? Exactly. Okay, last chill for today. I've been streaming for 6 hours. So if you are able to subscribe, give subs, cheer with beats, or anything, I will appreciate it. You can also donate or cheer with beats. Go into the Discord if you want FNF, because I want to play Fortnite. Thank you everyone so much for coming. If you are subscribed, you can copy and paste the first message. If you are not subscribed, you can copy and paste the second message. If for some reason you haven't, you can also join the Discord. Follow me on Twitter. All that good stuff. Yeah. Join the raid, you ungrateful people. But yeah. Thank you everyone so much for coming. Thank you, Bolden, for giving us this horrible journey. I hate you. But I love you all, and thank you all for being here. Bye.